holding that thought.
Oh dear God, are
Holding
we?
that thought. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do this in here. What's happening?
Can we at least face different directions?
Yeah, it's like, don't make eye contact. Cover your face.
Yeah. So for anybody that's interested,
Do you have a timestamp? Is that what this is?
yes.
Here for all your masturbatory needs.
We've turned into MrSkin.com.
It's even a better name. Damn it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Geek Battalion Vets. We are a pop culture podcast that, sit around and we talk about comics, TV, movies, and generally just shit all over each other most of the time. Oh, yeah. We're a couple of veterans. Got an Army guy over here. I'm a Marine. And then this cop over here. Yeah.
Plus 12.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, so welcome back. We're here to shit on each other and talk about nerd stuff. So,
Yeah. I'm Jimmy,
oh, I'm B.
And I'm Duncan.
and we are the most researched and well-informed host you'll find on Spotify or of the internets or wherever you listen to it. Actually, Apple Podcast. That's really where our main jam is coming from. Our main listener base.
Our jam?
Yeah.
Is that where we sell our jam?
No, that's where we beat Spider-Man.
Well, I do that pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Except for your house, as we've already established.
That's a callback to last episode. But actually, I would like to take a moment and say thank you to all of our listeners that have been listening. We're still growing. We actually had our best month.
We're growers, not a showers. Is that how it goes?
That is a true statement there. No, so actually, big shout out to Florida. We got a big fan base down there. So thanks to you guys. Appreciate that. Continue to tell your friends and your family about us.
Y'all on bath salts down there still? Or?
I want to say that Florida Man is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Yes.
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Never ceases to entertain me. So
Motherfuckers are up to some shit usually, so good for you. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. So yeah, appreciate that. Also, we have some international listeners, so shout out to you guys. And so anyway, thanks to everybody.
I thought you were going to do one of your shitty accents. You're not going to try one?
Please
Yeah,
don't.
nope, not.
Oh, damn it.
No.
My favorite part of the show.
Anyway, so sit rep stuff. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Bit of a longer one this time.
If it's B beats Spider-Man, I'm going to be very impressed.
I did this before we all got set up.
I think that
here.
one would just be one long beep.
No, it'd be really short.
It would be very slow at the beginning and then just...
beep, beep, beep.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my heart rate monitor. Sorry.
Yeah.
My Apple Watch was...
Getting a call from Tony? Or?
Yeah, targeting my video gameplay is what it was doing.
Yeah. No,
So what is the sit rep?
Or what the fuck was that Morse code that you just dropped on us?
Yeah,
that was Open the Bifrost.
Oh, okay. That's a hint for our formation topic there.
Thor, that I get it.
We're beating Thor.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about Thor.
That sounds way dirtier.
I'm gonna go beat Thor.
Yeah.
I was bopping Thor.
And you should do that like as your
Also-
Wilford Brumley.
I can't. I'm here to beat Thor and talk to you about diabetes. I need to do Mac from Platoon. That would be even better, right?
Oh, let's hear it.
You ghosting us, motherfucker. I'm here to beat Thor.
Not Platoon, but
Oh, did I say Platoon?
Yeah, you
not
said
Predator.
Predator.
Sorry.
I was like, I don't remember that from Platoon at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Like I said,
ruined it.
Most
Damn it.
well-researched and well-informed.
Yeah, we're great.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah,
to
listen
everyone
to
who
us.
stopped listening after last week. If you're back, it'll maybe be better. I don't know.
No
but,
promises.
Yeah, no promises
Yeah.
there. Yeah. You're setting the bar high.
What is the sit rep for those maybe new listeners who are starting to regret their decision quickly?
Well, I think we should continue to let me do things on the show, but if you want me to tell you, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
where we sit around and we talk about the things we've done between the last episode and the new episode. You know, stuff we're like into or maybe did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are you looking
at
like that?
Why are you laughing at that? I don't see why that's funny.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Or maybe
so-
games we completed in the
Yeah.
week. Is that fair?
Yeah, maybe
Finished?
news. Yeah, news.
Is that better?
News
Yeah.
that news that's coming out.
Oh, and
Or some news. We do
Some
news
Yeah.
every once in a while.
yeah,
but I
things we beat.
Yeah. But I think we've already established if you're listening to us for anything factual, you probably came to the wrong place.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Who wants to kick it off?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You good over there?
yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
Cracking
I was just hoping someone else was going to talk.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we all know I'm a big fan of Diablo 4, so I finally got into it and played Season 2 a bit because that did drop back in October there. And they've done some really great improvements to it. You're able to now skip the campaign with any of your seasonal characters if you've already completed the campaign previously. So that just helps you get back into it and progressing your new characters. The big season for this one is all about vampires and everything, but you get access to vampiric powers very quickly. And it's more than just like what I was thinking, where like you can just like like suck people's blood and shit.
I thought you were
Yeah,
going
you're
somewhere
going with
else.
that.
Yeah, going somewhere different. No, I'm professional here.
Yeah. Okay.
One of us has to be.
So you can siphon off their health as you hit them, or you can get extra damage. There's some area of effect spells that you get as well. But it's just really cool to get into it, and they actually added 4 new in-game world bosses that you can party up against with some of your friends, and of course you still get the experience bonus. And so currently I'm going through as a rogue, trying something different, but I still hate the skill tree. It's still a pain in the dick. That's because there's so many different options to choose from, and once you make a decision, you're kind of hamstringed into that or shoehorned into that decision, and then of course all the gear that goes into it, and then it's
What do you normally play as again? What class? I know you've
normally,
talked about it before,
normally
but-
I would go as a barbarian.
That's right.
But the barbarian is
That's how I
still-
describe you to most of my friends. You know?
Yeah, because I totally look like a barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But way into cardio.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm still doing cardio and I hate it. It's immediately awful. But anyway, yeah. So that's Diablo 4. But now kind of switching focus. This isn't really geek related, but have either of you ever heard of the Zarganic effect? Zarganic effect, sorry.
Gesundheit.
No.
I'm going to take that as a no then. I actually saw this video on TikTok, and I thought it was really cool. It's a psychological thing here, but basically, the Dr. Bluma Zygonark, she discovered that humans are
Is that a
unbelievable.
Captain America villain?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it could be.
Sounds that way.
But humans are unbelievably good at remembering details of uncompleted tasks, i.e., like a server. And like they come up to you at a restaurant and they'll ask you for your order, but they don't write anything down, right? And you're like, how is this person remembering this? But it comes to that humans it's a open loop, closed loop kind of system, and so you're extremely able to remember things that aren't closed, that aren't done. So they can remember like, okay, so this table wants this exchanged out for this, and they want their steak cooked medium rare, and so on and so forth. But what's really interesting is as soon as the ticket is closed, like the table is paid for it and they're done, they can't remember anything about what the table had. So it's just talking about like how the humans have an open loop, closed loop system, and that just kind of leads into cliffhangers and how the brain doesn't like things that aren't unresolved. So that's why they
That
put
makes
them
sense.
at the end of every episode of like something on Netflix or Disney Plus. You know, there's always that cliffhanger because it's an unresolved thing, and your brain won't let go of it until it's done. So
And that's how aneurysms occur. Yeah.
It's kind of like the old serials that they would show in movie theaters, you know, like, will this be our hero's final day? Will he die or will he be join us next week?
I wasn't alive for any of that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
That's fine. You were listening to the radio version. But,
yeah.
but that sort of thing. Like,
Got him.
there's an old Batman serial from the 40s.
They did the same thing in the 60s show.
Yeah, they
too.
did the same thing in the 60s show, but it was less like it was a callback to those sorts of things.
Oh,
like
100%.
They did it like humorously. Like there's a serial, the first Batman serial series, which is from maybe 1940. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head, but it's very funny and very bad. But there's a scene where Batman's in a plane and it crashes, and that's the end of the episode. And it's like, will Batman survive this fatal plane crash, or will join us next week for whatever? And then and because I'm watching it like on a DVD, so it's just into the next episode. The next episode is Batman just stands up from the plane wreckage, and you can tell it's like they didn't get the perspective right, so the plane's like way smaller than it should be, and he's just like standing up in this shitty bat costume with like ears that are fucking askew and everything. It's just like, yep, yes he did. Anyway, moving on.
I mean, we wouldn't have a show if he didn't.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. But
Is that the Batman and Robin that's on Max right now? I've seen it.
I don't know. I haven't
popping
seen
up.
what's on
It's black
Max
and
lately.
white.
It might be.
It's called Batman and Robin, but it's an old TV show. It looks like it's
that
from
might
the
be
40s.
That might be the second serial that they came out with, because they came out with two. One of which I think they recast. But let me see here real quick.
I figured you were watching it. That's why it kept popping up on our Max. Like how I said our Max. Yeah.
Oh,
So there was a 15 chapter 1943 American serial called Batman, and then
I
thought they had a sequel.
Dude, I swear that it says Batman and Robin on there. Maybe it's not a series. Maybe it's a movie.
But
yeah, they did a similar effect in Toy Story 3 with Woody, where he's at the guy that's like fixing him up and everything, and like Woody is finding out more about who his character actually is, and he sees like a TV short, and they have like that thing at the end. You know, he's like jumping this canyon, like, well, Woody,
I do remember that.
Yeah, make the jump, and then Woody's like, what happened? I gotta know what happened. And then I forget the female.
I was
Jesse.
I was
Jesse,
35 years old when that movie came
Yeah,
out. So I
Jesse.
have no idea.
She was like, oh well, they never made a sequel. He's like, so we don't know if I saved the kids. Like, well, let's go save the kids now. Yeah. So anyway,
I guess I don't see what you're talking about. So
Oh, well, when you get home, turn on Max, and it keeps popping up like right in the middle there.
is
I don't know why.
it this one?
No,
Okay.
it's like a black and white, terrible ear costume.
It's
And
gotta
I'm
be.
pretty sure it says Batman and Robin, but I could be mistaken.
Anyway, yeah, that's interesting.
all right. Well, that's pretty much all that I have. Okay. Do either of you have anything?
Well, we ended the last episode talking about this Lego convention that you guys are going to coming up here in a couple weeks, whenever it is.
Yeah, that'd be November 18th and 19th at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, it sounds lovely. I unfortunately can't make it. I'm sorry. I won't be there. But Lego sounded pretty badass, so I bought a bunch of Legos.
Oh,
I built a bunch of Legos.
you mean you withdrew cash and said you were buying something else and then bought a bunch of Legos?
Or maybe I withdrew cash months ago, squirreled it away, and then just recently purchased it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like you know me. It's fucking terrifying.
Side note, is this the thing that you've seen on Max? Okay, well that's the serial series.
That actually might be it, but it's a different. The movie
Cover.
poster is different. But those are the same. Like one of the ears is bent.
Yeah,
because it's
the
so
costumes
bad.
are atrocious.
Yeah.
So anyway, Legos.
But yeah, I got
What sets are you getting?
I bought 3, but one of them I just kind of bought for the parts because I already had it. So because I'm weird like that.
Yeah.
But I bought
If you're nasty.
If You Nasty. Thank you. I appreciate that. Get it, Jackson.
What set are
I
you talking
bought
about?
I thought we agreed. Stop whispering.
No, the drop ship only when it's necessary.
So you're talking Star Wars sets.
Yeah, I bought the new. I believe it's still Republic dropship, the maroon one.
Yeah, is it the Coruscant Guard gunship?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, $139.99. Okay, yeah.
Holy shit!
I don't.
He's squirming.
I don't think we need to put numbers on anything.
No, go ahead, keep going.
I got it on clearance.
Yeah,
Probably.
Does your spouse listen to this?
Moving on. Yeah, I'm gonna get crucified, just so you know. And then I'm not gonna tell you what the other one is, even though it was way more fun. But fuck you guys.
Yeah, okay.
But it was Marvel. And
I
it was
heard
awesome.
that he got the Venator class Republic attack cruiser
I
with
did not.
$650.
I would love to, but
You should check into that.
I would love to, but I'm not going to.
Not you. I mean, I'm talking directly to your wife right now.
People? Oh,
Yeah.
no, she's not going to listen to this. I just
I'm
don't
gonna
want
send her
people
a-
judging
I'm going
me.
to send her a clip.
That's hateful. So now I can no longer build Legos or do a podcast. Thank you very much, Duncan. Appreciate it.
He's the whole reason this thing works.
That's right. You killed the pod. That's
Yep.
it. It's done. We're dead.
That's
dead in
all
the
right.
water. But I was enjoying Legos until you had to bring that shit up.
I'm debating spending like $600 or $700 on a new 3D printer. So,
Ooh, I'm very much interested in you doing that as well. So
yep.
I got big plans. Like big plans.
Yep.
Also bought for no apparent reason other than because it was Thursday. I bought a Predator bodysuit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Gonna do something with that at some
Nice.
point. But yeah, I built Legos, played Legos.
Is it
with
like
my
Naked
kids.
Predator? Like it's just like his skin and then you got to put clothes over it? Or
Yeah, it's got this.
what's the D look like?
That would-
It's got
that would
this
be really weird.
Spider-Man symbol like over the crotch. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, or is
Funny
it
you
Thor,
should bring
or-
that up. Also, the hands are gone. I don't know why that's a thing. But
Yeah.
is it a Thor? It's just the hammer. It's Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
So I was lifting Mjolnir the other night. I'm here for euphemism, kids. That's what I'm here for.
He's talking about his hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one in the history of my life has ever referred to it as my hammer. Thank you.
Just you.
I appreciate the nod, but it's I don't know that I can live up to it. But
I'm here to assist you.
anybody else want to pull their hammer before we're done here, or what?
Yeah, I got a couple things we can talk about.
I knew it. That was a Thor nod.
I knew it.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that last episode. Last week we talked about how Marvel is kind of considering pivoting away from Kang and moving towards Doc Doom.
And domestic abuse
And-
just in general.
Yeah, they've generally leaned pretty hard away from that, I think.
As
But
you should.
there's been a few other, like, I guess leaks you could call them, or rumors that have been going around, and one of them was that Marvel is apparently reported to be considering a new Avengers movie with a classic cast, so that would be including bringing back RDJ and ScarJo as Iron Man and Black Widow.
I mean, Scar Joe, you got me hooked now.
Dude, I miss them all. I miss them
Yeah,
all
like-
so much, but I don't know that I can go.
Yeah, I don't want that.
I don't think I do.
I don't want that as much as, like I said last week, like Endgame kind of peaked the MCU, and
You know what? If it's great, and it very well could be, I'd be like, never
It
mind.
could
I don't know
be,
what the fuck
but
I'm
with the
talking
current
about.
like crop of Marvel things that have come out, excluding
Probably
a
not.
couple of different things, it probably wouldn't be. And I think it would probably just be a rehash of great things that we've had, and it would be nostalgia done wrong, and I just don't want to see that. I would love someday to see them come back in some way, shape, or form when it feels
Yeah.
earned, maybe. But this just feels
It'd be
not.
really weird, like when they're all like super old. And,
Yeah, but I don't know.
because
It's
fucking
been-
RDJ's already. I mean,
Yeah, he's old, but he takes care of himself. He
Yeah,
looks
it'd be
nice.
like the
He does
chick,
kung fu.
chick from
It's fine.
Titanic. It's been 80
just Wu-Tang playing
years.
until now.
oh yeah, Wu Tang.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing to fuck with. Just saying, kill bees, y'all.
Yeah. So yeah, they're considering that, I guess. It sounds like the Blade movie is still like all fucked up. Apparently, the star who's been cast as Blade, Mahershala Ali, he was like on the verge of leaving, but Marvel has just retained the guy who wrote Logan, Michael Green, to come in and basically rewrite the entire script from scratch. And that was the only thing that he decided he was going to stay for, is the latest rumor. So
I thought they hired writers from Daredevil and Punisher as well.
I thought that was for TV, but maybe that's for something else. But I don't know. The latest rumor I saw was that they hired the Logan writer.
So remind me, is the Logan the one that we don't like? Or
oh no, we love that one.
Okay, that's the good one.
That's
okay,
the kind of the end of
pretty much
Wolverine.
everything before Logan was trash.
Yeah.
Wolverine was okay, but
so Origins
is terrible.
You guys.
Now you like it. Just go ahead and say it. You do.
It's okay.
Because I did like it.
Yeah,
it's okay.
No one's
fine.
surprised. It's fine.
Yeah.
But Logan's great. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it, and you can watch it. I would say with just a casual knowledge of, if you've seen the first X-Men movie, you could go straight to Logan, and I think it would still be good.
It would probably be less confusing.
It might be, actually, if you haven't watched
especially
any of
if you watched
the recast stuff.
Yeah, if you watch like Days of Future Past, or he wasn't really in Apocalypse, I don't think. He might have had a cameo,
know. I've seen
maybe.
that once, so
that was bad. But yeah,
so I mean, Logan's good. I really would love to see a good Blade movie, because I have fond memories of the Blade movies from the 90s and early 2000s.
And Marshall Ali's
and he's
fantastic.
fucking great. He's good in fucking everything he's in.
If you haven't seen the Luke Cage series, he was Cottonmouth in that show, and he was such an excellent villain.
The show
he's so good. Sure.
He's good in the True Detective. I think it's season 3.
I haven't watched that yet.
The whole as a whole, that season is definitely not the best one, but he's fantastic in it. But I would like to see him stay on as Blade, and I mean that's probably the one movie that they've promised that I really don't know if it's going to happen.
I have my doubts as well, but I would love to see, even if they don't give him his own movie, like I would love to see like either a Spirits of Vengeance or like Night Stalkers or something.
Midnight Suns, sort of thing.
Anything like that takes the kind of supernatural side of Marvel. So like your Werewolf by Midnight, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider,
even Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that character to begin with, and I haven't minded him in the MCU. I didn't really care for the first movie that much. It was fine. It's better than most of what they've come out with lately, but the second one was decent. It was, I think, better than the first one. But
I mean, I had a very superficial knowledge of the Avengers going into that whole universe there. And then I remember when Doctor Strange came out, I had a friend that was just like fucking creaming all over it because he's like, it's Doctor Strange.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, no. And he was
beating Spider-Man all over Doctor Strange.
Yeah, just going crazy all
lifting my Mjolnir all over.
So I never really understood like the appeal of that character, but after I saw the movie, I thought it was cool and everything, but I still didn't get just like he was a cool character. That was about it. But yeah,
I'm not a huge fan. So
I like the first Doctor Strange. I like both those actually.
I think he's an excellent side character. Like he was great in No Way Home.
Yeah,
in the Spider-Man, beating my Spider-Man, but I don't know. I don't think he's a character you lead with personally, but I'm all in if they're going to put him in like Midnight Suns or whatever. I think.
I don't know. I really like him in the MCU for the most part. So, and I think I probably enjoyed Multiverse of Madness more than most people did, but probably because I really like Sam Raimi. But
yeah.
Then the other thing I saw was that there's a Highlander reboot.
Hell yeah.
In the works, starring Henry Cavill and apparently directed by Chad Stahelski, the guy behind the John Wick movies.
Oh.
So that could be very interesting. That's a property that we haven't seen since the original stuff there, really.
Since the TV show.
The TV show is probably the only thing.
I think they made a couple movies after that.
Did they? Okay.
I think so. Because like Mario Van Peebles was in one of them, I think. So.
Maybe, yeah. I just, in my head, it's just really the original movies. But I guess they're looking to start that in 2024, but it's supposed to be a big budget action flick. Like
I'm in. Dude, I saw a picture of Cavill the other day. Does he know that he's not Superman anymore? That he doesn't have to train like that? Holy shit, that guy's huge.
Yeah, I think he just enjoys it now. Honestly,
Clearly.
I think he just likes working out.
He's just playing Warhammer and beating Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, if
working out. That's all he does.
All you had in the world to do was work out and play Warhammer, wouldn't you get fucking huge too?
I mean, I suppose.
Yeah.
I've never played Warhammer.
I haven't
does it
either,
require
but
a lot of push-ups? Like,
if they just said I could work out and beat Spider-Man all day, I would. So
I mean, I'm doing most of that already. Just not all day.
Nice.
Yep. So
in my youth.
That's pretty much everything I saw that I thought was interesting. So
let's see. One thing I saw was they leaked the possible leak of the Deadpool 3 plot.
Oh, that's right.
They're talking about how the TVA is going to go back and they're going to select the I had it and I lost it.
The one that I saw was the TVA, Loki and the TVA was selecting heroes from all these failed timelines and building their own Avengers.
Yeah, one I saw.
I think the one you were talking about was different than that.
Yeah, similar to that, but they're picking the prime versions from the sacred timeline, I guess you would call it.
Oh, okay.
From each hero to create a multiversal army to fight the kings.
Would you be okay? I know you already said you don't want it, but would you be okay with that OG cast coming back for like a Secret War?
I feel like it's still too soon.
I think so too.
But I think they're going to do it.
Probably.
The other rumor I've seen for Secret Wars is that the leads of that movie will be Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
Oh, yes, and I saw that too, and that was from the same thing. They weren't just building this like super Avengers team. They were taking all these heroes, these key heroes from all these failed timelines, and they were putting them into what becomes Battle World,
right?
Which is the storyline for Secret Wars.
Oh, okay.
Which Doctor Doom does lead Secret Wars.
He's like the ruler of Battle World.
Yeah, when they redid it.
Yeah,
and so I mean that might be more in line with what they're doing with with their pivot going to Doctor Doom.
I'm not condoning anything that Jonathan Majors maybe did or has done.
Yeah,
but if he when this is all said and done, if he gets cleared of everything,
yeah.
That sucks. You just fucking lost your holy shit.
Yeah,
that's like generational wealth that you just fucking pissed away.
Yep. And I forgot I did have one more thing, was that I saw that Lionsgate has they've signed an interim agreement with the Screen Actors Guild, so that it's basically for one movie, for their Hunger Games prequel movie, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But
I thought that was done already.
It's done, but it's so the actors can actually fucking promote it, and they can walk the red carpet,
so they don't
make
fucking
money
shit
on it.
The bed on it.
Yeah, they can actually make money on it, because I think it's been done and it was set for release, but they've pushed it back because of the strike and the inability to. Because I think that probably is a movie that really needs to be promoted.
You're probably right.
So that's interesting. At least
are people wanting to see that movie? Is that something that
I mean, my kids are.
Yeah, I think there's still probably a good amount of people that are into the Hunger Games universe, and
my kid was a Hunger Games character for Halloween, so
yeah, dude, Finnick.
Huh? I have no idea who that is. Never seen any of it. The Trident was fucking cool. Yeah. I made that.
I'll be honest, and people probably hate me, but I like the Hunger Games movies. They're fun.
I've never seen them. I have no hate against it. I've never. They sound like The Running Man, but without Arnold. Is what it sounds like.
Arnold is definitely not in them. That's for sure.
That is a good equation between the two. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
what it sounds like. I've never seen them, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's a. I guess, I don't know if pastiche is the right word, but it's based off of, like Battle Royale type. It's not groundbreaking in terms of its story elements. Like, let's pit a bunch of innocent kids against each other and have to kill each other.
Is there any intriguing dialogue was Sub-Zero now Plane Zero?
No.
No?
There's none of that.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm not
it's a
interested.
silent film. Nobody talks.
There's no dialogue in it at all. So I've never watched the last last movie of the Hunger Games.
So you've seen part 1 of the finale, but not the part 2.
Yeah, but not part 2.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The brain hates cliffhangers.
Mostly,
Fuck you, TikTok.
Mostly because of a person that was in my life that is no longer in my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
That can be tough to deassociate things that we've
suck.
watched with past with partners or with friends or whoever.
I know a
that
lot
works,
of bands
so.
that are dead to me now. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that
you
much.
know what? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but I did enjoy the first Hunger Games, and I mean, it seems like it's a interesting. You know,
I'm a big fan of post-apocalyptic world stuff, and that's where this is at. It's set after a giant war and the restructuring of the world, and
after the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah, after the Fire Nation attacked.
It means nothing.
B doesn't get it, but I know Jesus Christ, Jason Bourne, and his wife will. So, but
I'm glad we're appealing to 2 listeners.
We only have like 4. So
I know, but that's a
50%
different
of
tactic.
No,
usually you're trying to whittle them off. Now you're like trying to
just
get them
tone
in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
if
just
he's
got to
still
talk to me
listening.
like, hey, we made a reference to you guys, so make sure you listen to this episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're listening, we're actually going to talk about your favorite comic book character, movie character, TV show, or video game later in the episode. So stay tuned. 100% guaranteed we're going to. But anyway, yeah, that's the I think we were on the Hunger Games. Yeah, it's worth watching in my opinion, but it's also not
as good as Running Man. Is what you're saying?
No, it's
and
better
there's
than
only
Running Man.
one of those
But
movies. So.
It's
Does it
not-
have Arnold in tights? No.
Jesse the Body Ventura's in it. Just saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
Jennifer
I
Lawrence
think I could.
is in
I could.
all the Hunger
I think
Games movies.
Jim Brown's in
She's
it too.
very attractive. But
Oh, that's true.
Speaking of J-Law, there is a new movie of hers on
I've been
comedy?
wanting to watch this on Netflix.
I wanna see it too.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
finally on Netflix.
I want to see that.
And she actually does a
Apparently she's full nude in it.
nude scene. And
I gotta go.
just sit right there. One
Come
sec.
back.
I'm gonna play Spider-Man real quick.
Yeah. 1 second. Just hold that thought.
Oh dear God, are
Hold
we?
that thought. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do this in here. What's happening?
Can we at least face different directions?
Yeah, it's like don't make eye contact. Come here, please.
Yeah. So for anybody that's interested,
Give the timestamp. Is that what this is?
Yes. Here for all your masturbatory needs.
We've turned into MrSkin.com.
It's even a better name. Damn it.
The movie is called No Hard Feelings, ironically. Yeah. But the timestamp is 1 hour and 7 minutes. So do with that knowledge as you want.
All right. So should we move on to the formation?
Just peddling smut now.
All right. Yeah.
Man,
so,
we're gonna have so many downloads on this episode.
yeah, this is great. I'm
Average
put that-
age 12.
Make sure to
What
put
the
that
fuck?
in the
description.
hashtags in the description.
Yeah,
there.
hashtag JLog, Skinman, timestamp.
No, you got to put a teaser in there. We reveal the timestamp for the full nude scene.
Now that's how we get listeners.
Yeah. Just put the timestamp for when you say it in the episode, not when it actually is in the movie.
I'm not above it. $20 is $20.
I'm glad we're all gonna.
And
we
here
can
comes
all
our
agree
first cease and desist. All right, here we go.
Sorry, J-Lo.
Or Spider-Man. One of the two's not happy about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Formation time?
Let it fly.
Fall in.
You fall out in that street, or I'm gonna kick your ass right off this fucking planet.
Formation.
Formation. Yeah.
All right. So,
Yeah. What is the formation? B.
Oh, the formation. That's our main...
You said you were doing everything this episode, so...
That's true.
I said we shouldn't allow me to do everything. Clearly, the less I contribute, the better off we are, I think. But
Yeah, we can all agree on that.
yeah. See? It's not just me. I told you. No, this is the meat and potatoes of the episode here. This is what brings us together tonight to talk about
Yeah.
Thor.
Yeah. So
The movie, not the character. Right, Jimmy?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I got the choice to pick a movie we're going to talk about, and because of Loki, we're recording this ahead of the season finale of Loki, but Loki will be wrapping up here shortly, and with Thor from 2011 being the first appearance that we get of Tom Hiddleston's Loki, I thought it'd be apt to talk about that, kind of see where the character started. And
Is that what
where
we're doing?
we
I
head.
thought this was just your ploy to slowly get Jimmy to watch all the MCU movies.
Oh, I would have probably started at Iron Man. If
Oh,
that was the
that's
case,
right.
but maybe I could.
I've
could switch
seen
things around.
Iron Man. I've seen all the MCU movies. Well, the majority of them.
That's a no. But yeah, so
I've seen all of them since 2018. It's fine. Oh wait, no,
Okay, so I haven't
None
seen
of those.
Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumania.
Or Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said Ant-Man and the Wasp or Quantumania.
Oh, so you meant
okay.
two different movies
Okay,
you haven't
yeah.
seen.
yeah.
or Doctor Strange
Moon
and the
Knight
Multiverse
or-
of Madness.
No, I've seen that
Oh,
one.
you did see that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Moon Knight, or...
Well, Moon Knight
Hey, now
wasn't a
that's
movie.
a TV show,
Luke
so we can't
Cage,
expect them to watch the
or-
TV shows too.
Oh, yeah, why would we? It's a pop culture nerd podcast. I don't know.
I mean, but we got to watch
like
like 1,800 hours of Star Trek if we want to.
No, we
talk
don't.
With him.
We don't have to do it all.
That's true. We don't. What's that? I couldn't hear you over there.
Turn it up for us.
All right, so just a brief rundown here of Thor. Came out May 2nd in 2011. It is the fourth MCU movie, coming after Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and then we got Thor here. It had a budget of $150 million and a box office of about $450 million. So it's
more profitable than Blue Beetle.
Correct.
Yeah,
Like a lot more.
and
Well, also profitable.
yeah, and
Say
not
that
like
more.
this isn't a current MCU blockbuster. It's not even the same numbers as Iron Man or Iron Man 2, but solid, and it played its role, I think,
So,
in the larger.
I know
larger
this
picture.
is after Iron Man 2 and it's before Avengers. Where is this like the lead up to the first Avenger, Captain America?
Yes, the next. So I was
Okay.
just going to say the next movie that came after this is Captain America: The First Avenger, which came
Gotcha.
out in literally 2 months later in July of
Okay.
2011.
Right,
so
right,
this was
right.
back when they were doing like two a year. But yeah, so just to briefly give you, if you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But. And I mean, listening to this,
You're
but-
almost old enough to listen to this podcast if you
Yeah.
were born that year. So
So basically, this movie, the short version is that the arrogant asshole god that is Thor from Norse mythology is banished from Asgard by his dad because he's being a dick, and
Yeah,
he has to learn
straight
some
up
to learn some humility on Earth, or Midgard as they refer to it. And learn to be a better type of hero. So we get to see all of that happen. It's directed by Kenneth Branagh. Marvel had a few different people they were considering for this, but they ended up going with Kenneth Branagh because he had directed Henry V, Hamlet, and
a lot of Shakespeare.
yeah, he has a very strong background in this kind of Shakespearean stylized stuff. So he also, fun fact, acted in he's a pretty prolific actor too, honestly,
Yeah.
but he's in Wild Wild West as Dr. Lovelace, the bad guy.
As a
Who's in
prolific actor would.
yeah.
okay.
He's
Wait a
he's
minute, he
in-
was Dr. Lovelace?
yeah, he's the dude with no legs in the wheelchair.
No
He's in
shit, I
Harry
thought
Potter
that
and the
was
Chamber of
Kevin
Secrets. He's in Dunkirk, Tenet, Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express, and A Haunting in Venice. And all three of those, he's Hercule Poirot, the famous detective.
Gumshoe.
Yep. And
you know
then,
what's even funnier is the line from the first Avengers movies where the first time Iron Man meets Thor and he says, Shakespeare in the Park?
yeah.
I thought that was kind
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
Her drapes.
But it was written by Ashley Miller, Zach Stentz, and Don Payne. Ashley Miller is known for working on X-Men First Class and the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Zach Stentz is known pretty much exclusively for working with Ashley Miller, but he also worked on the Flash TV series. And then Don Payne wrote Rise of the Silver Surfer, and unfortunately he passed away in 2013. Shortly after this movie released, but we've got, as far as the cast goes, we have who is very famous now because of this role, Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
Yeah.
He was basically a nobody at that point. And we have Anthony Hopkins as Sir Anthony Hopkins as
Such a good
actually Kenneth
actor.
Branagh as a Sir too. Sorry, Sir.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sir Anthony Hopkins as Odin, the father of Thor, and Loki, who is played by Tom Hiddleston. We have Natalie Portman as Jane Foster. Renee Russo as Frigga, which is Thor's wife. And
Yeah, I'd beat Spider-Man to that, too.
Odin's wife and Thor's mother. Stellan Skarsgård as Dr. Eric Selvig. Kat Dennings as Darcy Lewis. The late and great Ray Stevenson as Volstagg. Idris Elba as Heimdall, and we get Jamie Alexander as Lady Sif. So it's a pretty packed cast.
If Marvel does one thing right, it's casting.
Again, yeah,
and they
as
fucking
we've
knocked
mentioned.
it out of the park here.
So I know you had seen this. Had you seen this before, Jimmy?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've seen it a couple times. Yeah.
I liked it. I really enjoy this.
I'll be honest with you. When these came out, because I knew they were going to do probably all your main cast Avengers.
Right.
I honestly thought they probably would have done a Black Widow movie before
A Thor.
or a Black Widow and a Hawkeye maybe at the same time. I thought they would do that before the first Avengers movie came out. They didn't. This one was probably my least anticipated. Like, I really didn't give a shit
Yeah.
coming up to it, but turned out to be one of my favorites. So
Yeah, I think it's really good. Chris Hemsworth, I think, is like fantastic as Thor. Anthony Hopkins, though, fuck man,
he's fantastic.
So good.
What a surprise that
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is good in something, but fuck, he's so good in this goddamn movie.
I know we're gonna fawn over Hemsworth for a while here, but like, what do you think it was about that guy that somebody was like, this guy is the next big thing? Like, what is it about him? Like,
He's got man boobs.
he does not have man boobs. Those are
pecs.
He's a fucking he's
a
sculpted
Norse
like
god.
a god.
No,
Yes.
as they say, he's pretty cut.
He is pretty cut.
So it actually came down to him and his brother as the final two that they were going to pick for Thor.
The one
Liam,
that's in Westworld that nobody
I don't know.
knows.
I've never seen Westworld. You keep
No,
saying-
Liam is the younger one, right?
I don't know who's in Westworld. So Liam is the one that he was contending with.
Pretty sure Liam's the youngest.
Yeah,
the
Anthony
Hemsworth.
Hopkins is in Westworld as well too.
Okay.
Totally
Anyway,
unrelated, but yeah.
I think being serious here. I think it's his charisma, because he is just a very.
It's definitely not his beard, I can tell you that much,
Yeah.
because he had all that time to get fucking just jacked like no other, but couldn't grow an actual beard to save his life.
I think
guess.
some of that was strategic in terms of them dyeing it, because they dyed his beard and his eyebrows, and it's really distracting at some points in the movie that he has blonde dyed eyebrows. But I think it comes down to. Like you said, I think he has that kind of charisma that Liam doesn't. I haven't seen Liam in anything that makes me feel the same way as Chris Hemsworth has done. So
I think he's the one that was married to Miley Cyrus.
I don't think they were married, but yeah, he dated Miley Cyrus for a long time.
That one.
But you talked about getting jacked. One of the well-known trivia pieces for this movie is that like they cast him and they're like, hey, you need to look like the God of Thunder. You
Yeah,
need to be
so
huge.
steroids.
Yeah,
get
so
'em.
go get some steroids. But anyway, so get jacked, and he showed up to his first costume fitting after being fit, like initially fit for the costume, and then going off and working out, and they couldn't fit the
couldn't
costume.
fit,
And he got in the costume, and he was like, I can't feel my own hands,
Yeah.
like I'm losing circulation. Like
he's too
Well,
big.
his arms were like too big for the sleeves.
That scene where he's like trying to pull the
when he's trying to pull his hammer off, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, his forearm is
Talk to you
fucking
about pulling your hammer off.
Yeah.
fucking massive.
He did it right. Which is funny because in Norse mythology, Thor is just like a big fat
He's a
fuck.
fat piece of shit.
But kind of like later,
God of War Ragnarok nailed.
yes,
Like he's definitely a fat piece
and
of
kind
shit.
of like Fat Thor is in
for sure.
Endgame.
Yeah.
So I guess we kind of just walked through the movie. This is still phase 1 early, so it's distributed by Paramount. I forgot about that. This isn't Marvel Studios. This is Marvel Entertainment with Paramount because they were still their distributor at this point before they kind of ran through their deal with Merrill Lynch and paid off their debt there. They'd already been bought by Disney at this point, but they hadn't officially squared all that stuff away. But the movie starts out in Tonsberg, Norway, where the frost giants attack, and
I forgot all about this part. Yeah.
Odin and the Asgardian army show up to save Midgard from the frost giants invading. Which, fun fact, Tonsberg is the same Norwegian city where 2 months later in Captain America: The First Avenger, where Red Skull shows up to retrieve the Tesseract.
It also becomes New Asgard.
And I was just going to say, it becomes New Asgard in after the events of Thor Ragnarok. So obviously those people must very clearly believe in the Norse legends. We see the Asgardian army led by Odin take on the frost giants, and we kind of learn this is probably the weakest part of the movie in my opinion, because it's just exposition heavy, like plot dump for you here. It's more telling than showing. But we learn that, however long ago, I think it's in like 965 AD or something, it says that Odin fought back the frost giants. He defeated Laufey, the king of the frost giants, and took the Casket of Winters, which is the kind of the source of their realm's power, and basically, because they were so powerful, enacts a treaty so that there's peace. And then we pan out, and he's basically telling young Thor and young Loki this story as they're walking through the Asgardian weapons vault, and then we cut ahead to basically it's about to be the like crowning ceremony for Thor.
Yes.
Prince of Asgard. Coronation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's about to be made king by Odin, and he's walking through the crowd. He's wearing his very classic Thor helmet that they quickly ditch
with the wings,
with the big metal wings on it, which I like it. I think it looks super good.
Yeah.
And this whole costume, I think, might be one of his best of the MCU.
Yeah. That was one of my notes. Was the costume design for the whole movie was fucking incredible.
Nailed
like so good.
Yeah.
In like looking at Thor in comics, like we've talked many times before about how a lot of things in comics work that cannot work on the big screen, and that's obviously always a problem for costumes. Looking back at comic book properties, going back to the very beginning, but they fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
In this, I think, and the look of Asgard. We pan through Asgard, and you see the kind of like ridiculous golden structures that really invoke like a world of myth and like power and immortals and gods.
Magic
and everything.
And science are one and the same.
Exactly.
Even though like this movie came out in 2011 and it's all like CGI and everything, that scene, it still holds up well.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, like I was going at it with a critical eye, trying to find like where the CGI was and stuff, and like they really did a good job.
Part of that I think is because in Iron Man they learned that like CGI for people very tough. organic stuff,
Landscapes.
very tough. Metal, though, is like super easy to, and they learned that from the Transformers movies, where there's just these big hulking metal, totally CGI characters, but they look really good because you're able to do that in a computer generated environment a lot easier because there's so much reference that we can use, and you can build things on set and you can light them realistically, and then you can bring that into the CGI format and create it in a 3D way. But so I think that's part of why it holds up, especially later when we get to the destroyer that shows up. But
I want to cut in here because during the coronation scene, Odin gives this big speech about basically all Thor's accomplishments.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said is, Thor Odinson, my firstborn.
Yes, yeah, which becomes a later.
If you saw the sequel, so is that him?
Ragnarok,
Is he trying to cover up that his daughter's in hell, that he banished her, that she doesn't exist?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, that's fucked up.
Yeah, because he had a whole lifetime of adventures before Thor with her, basically.
That's cold-blooded.
So I have my note here, says Anthony Hopkins is amazing. Here's some proof. He during that scene, right, the crowd is raging for Thor, their champion, their Prince of Asgard, their warrior elite, and everybody's losing their shit. And Odin stands up and he just stomps his spear once, and it silences everyone, and it has this wong, echoing, just beautiful, listen up, and and everybody abides.
It's like when Bud Kilmer raises his hand and speaks, everyone is silent.
Exactly.
In Varsity Blues, if you ever saw that movie.
I haven't. But so we get to the very end of the coronation, basically, he's about to be king, and then we cut to the weapons vault, and somehow frost giants have made their way in, and they're trying to take the casket of winners. They're killing Asgardian guards, and all-seeing Odin sees this and realizes that, oh shit, this isn't the time for the coronation. You need to go stop them. They get in there, and he has
best home security system of all time.
He has the destroyer kill them and take the casket back.
What a fucking name, dude. The Destroyer
straight out of the comics, too.
Yeah.
Super great design. Another great, metallic giant monster. I love the way the fire, builds up from the belly of the beast and, out of the face. But, one of my favorite, that's not my favorite quote, but one of my favorites in there is they get to the casket of winters and it's back in its place, and Thor's like, the Jotuns must pay for what they've done, and Odin's just like, they have paid with their lives. They're done.
He mopped the floor with them. What do you want?
It's over, and then giving the conversation hey, you need to chill the fuck out. This is the actions of a few. This isn't worth ending the peace that we've brokered and the peace for all these people that we have now. And you can tell by the way that Thor's reacting that Odin he's not feeling quite great about making him king. And he even says something about Thor's like, now that I am king. And he's like, hey, you're not king yet.
You're not king yet.
You need to chill the fuck out.
But you're not king.
So then we move on, and Thor's throwing a little bitch fit. He's flipping the banquet table, and Volstagg, who is of Norse legend, loves to eat, comes in and played by Ray Stevenson.
Let's take a minute to appreciate Ray, even though this was probably his worst role that he was in.
Yeah, he's pretty goofy in this, but it shows he has some comedic range there and different things. But he's one of the Warriors 3, one of Thor's best friends in the movie. But we basically, this is where we really get an introduction to Loki, more or less, because we see him as the manipulative little prick that he is.
Oh,
dude,
he's
right away.
So young too.
Oh my God, he looks like a baby.
Think when I watched this the first time, I knew who he was.
Yeah.
I knew the character he's playing. I knew he's the bad guy, but that veil is still kind of over you at the beginning, and maybe maybe he's actually stating his cause, but looking at it from the lens of today, he's just so evil from the beginning.
I think later we do see a little bit, and I'll talk about it as we get there. We do see a little bit more of some hesitation on his part, and that he is just kind of a misunderstood kid, and he has I know
exactly
chip on his shoulder. But
right.
But basically Loki's hey, there's, I believe, for what it's worth, man, I'm on your side. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Trying to
nothing
play
you
it
can
up,
do
yeah.
without pissing off Dad, without directly disobeying Dad. And he's like, let's fucking go to Jotunheim
Yeah.
and kill some motherfuckers.
You know what? That sounds like a great idea.
So-
Well, the best part is he says, "What are you gonna do? March into Jotunheim and kill everybody?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, that's exactly
we're
what I'm
going to
gonna do."
Jotunheim." So he convinces the Lady Sif and the Warriors 3 and to go to Jotunheim.
So when that scene happened, I yelled over at my wife, "They're taking the Asgards to Jotunheim. They're taking the Asgards to Jotunheim, and they're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard."
I thought that was going to be code for something that you had,
Yeah.
but not that.
No,
Yeah.
for those of you that have watched Lord of the Rings and understand that reference, please enlighten my
Stop beating Spider-Man for a second and listen to the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, enlighten my my co-host here.
They decide they're going to go to Jotunheim and they have to go through the Bifrost to do that. So we get our first meeting with Heimdall, who is basically the gatekeeper of the Bifrost, which allows transport to all of the 9 realms. And it's his sword that you need to activate it. But it's great that, and his whole shtick is that he's basically omniscient. Like, he can see and hear everything throughout all the realms. He can, no matter what you're doing, when you're doing it. If you're beating Spider-Man, he can see it. Or lifting your hammer or whatever. But he
Checking your dub beatus.
yeah, they walk into him and Loki's the first to have a little conversation with him, and he's just like, "You're not dressed warm enough for Jotunheim," and he's like, we're not going." And Thor's just like, "Hey, fuck it, like." I'm Prince. We're doing this, and Heimdall's like, okay, like, but just so you know, if your return threatens Asgard in any way, I'm not opening the Bifrost. You're not coming back.
But he's also like, I also want to know how these motherfuckers got
Yeah,
in.
but
so
that's like his
go
main
get 'em.
his
Motivation.
skin in the game is that he didn't see the frost giants enter Asgard, otherwise he wouldn't have let him do it. So he feels like, I need to know.
It's on him,
I
yeah.
need to know how this happened because it's on me. But there's a great little line from Ray Stevenson when he walks by, because Loki tries to kind of fumble fuck through it, and then Thor's just like, "Enough, we're doing this." And Ray Stevenson or Volstagg goes, "What's wrong? Silver tongue turned to lead." And Loki's just kind of like, "You motherfucker." But so there's they go to Jotunheim and try and just to talk to people, find out,
Clearly just trying to talk.
just to investigate. Thor's first move is just, "How did you get into Asgard?" and talking to the king. And they do some forced perspective stuff with the giants to, like, they're clearly just regular dudes, but they try and make them look really big. I think that didn't really work because you can't really ever tell unless they're right next to each other
Right.
that the giants are
scope,
supposed to be
yeah.
bigger. They didn't kind of exaggerate any of their features really or anything. And I'm not a huge fan of the design of the frost giants
Plus, they're
in it
so
either.
dark, you don't ever really get a good look at them anyways.
Yeah.
But,
So that predictably devolves into a big battle, and Thor's beating the shit out of people, and the Warriors 3 are killing people, Lady Sif's killing people, and there's this scene where Loki is standing at the edge of a cliff, and there's a frost giant running towards him, and we, like, right at the last second, we see that it's Loki's illusion, and he's around a corner, and he, like, disappears as illusion, and you realize that, that he's using magic to, like, trick this frost giant. What the fuck was the frost giant's plan in the first place?
I'm going to tackle him off this
He's
cliff.
literally just going to tackle him
gonna
off
die.
the cliff because he's just in a full sprint towards the edge of a cliff where his target is, and he just, like fucking Goldberg in the WWE, just fucking spears him and goes right through the illusion and off the cliff. And it's like, what were you thinking? You were gonna do that no matter what.
On the way down, he's like, I didn't think this through.
It's like,
I made a terrible mistake.
So basically, the battle's going south because there's just too many frost giants, and then they let loose their, like, gigantic
Their dog of
frost
war.
dog giant thing.
Yeah, we really see Thor's power.
And then
here.
we get to see Thor really unleash. We get to see what Mjolnir's really
Just
capable
throws
of.
his hammer down his
Yeah,
throat.
he's just ripping people to shreds with his hammer. Daddy's making some sore throats. Anyway,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
We get to see for comic book fans, it's no surprise what Mjolnir's capable of. It responds to the beck and call of Thor, and it's capable of all sorts of things. But we see him throw it, and it hits somebody in the face, and then you see it stop in midair and come back to Thor right away, and he swings it to fly, which in the comics sometimes, maybe currently, I'm not sure, but Thor is not actually capable of flight, but he is capable of throwing Mjolnir and then holding on to Mjolnir to be propelled through. And they kind of reference that in Ragnarok when he's like talking to Korg, and he's like, yeah, I used to throw my hammer and it would pull me off, and he's like, your hammer pulled you off.
Korg's my favorite,
but
except in Love and Thunder,
he sucks.
Too much.
That movie's not great. But anyway, but then we get this great moment where they're about to get overtaken. Heimdall's like, I ain't opening the Bifrost. You got this giant monster right there. You're overrun by frost giants. I said I wouldn't do it. And all of a sudden the Bifrost opens, and it's Odin comes down on his, which I never noticed this until I rewatched it this time. He's on an eight-legged horse.
Yeah, oh,
which in Norse
is Loki's son?
Yes, in Norse mythology, the horse is actually the son of Loki. He was impregnated by somebody when he was in horse form because he's a shapeshifter, and then he gave birth to an eight-legged horse. Also,
gave birth.
In Norse mythology, Loki is very gender fluid, and he's also he's not Thor's brother, he's Odin's brother.
Yes, it's very confusing if you've ever read it.
Norse mythology. So he shows up and he's like, hey, we can still have this peace. This is the act of a child. And he's really like talking shit on Thor to Laufey. And Laufey's like, no, this is war. And so he transports him back to Asgard. And this, I'm just going to do it now. This is my favorite scene of the movie. With Anthony Hopkins and Thor here. We get the banishment of Thor. Thor's all pissy that, he's got pulled back from there, and he doesn't think that Odin's doing enough. He thinks he's just a politician.
You're a fool and an old man.
Yeah, you're an old man and a fool. And apparently this is Kenneth Branagh told Anthony Hopkins to kind of improvise this piece after Thor yells at him. And so his reaction to that is improvised, is legitimate. And so Thor, like he said, he calls him an old man and a fool, and Anthony Hopkins kind of sits there and thinks for a second, and he's like, you're right, I was a fool for thinking that you were ready to be king. You've put your friends and your family at risk. And Loki, this is what I was talking about earlier, Loki intervenes. He's like, Father, it was my idea, basically. He's trying to kind of fall on the sword and be like, hey, I fucked up.
Kill him.
I was trying to get him in trouble, but I wasn't trying to fucking have you really rip his ass.
Maybe he should have led with one time I got fucked when I was a horse.
Yeah. I've been the same ever since. But he and Anthony Hopkins has this great moment, which was part of the improvisation, where he just growls at Loki, and he's just like, and you can tell everyone in the room is like, oh
yeah, Tom Hiddleston shit himself.
He literally jumps back like, holy shit. And
I heard that, and I was like, I wonder if that was improv, and it's good to know that it was.
The quote though, or the line that Anthony Hopkins gives here, basically we see him he makes Thor unworthy. He strips him of his power, and he banishes him to Midgard. And so I'm just going to give it now. This is my favorite quote, and it's kind of this whole interaction here. But he tells Thor, you are a vain, greedy, cruel boy, and that's when Thor says, and you are an old man and a fool. And yes, I was a fool to think you were ready. But he gets to the banishment part, and Thor Odinson, you have betrayed the express command of your king. Through your arrogance and stupidity, you've opened these peaceful realms and innocent lives to the horror and desolation of war. You are unworthy of these realms, and he starts stripping his physical costume off of him.
Pulling it off.
You're unworthy of your title. You're unworthy of the loved ones you have betrayed. And they kind of pan in on Loki as almost foreshadowing and kind of guilt trip for what his part in this. And he says, "I now take from you your power in the name of my father and his father before you, or his father before I, Odin Allfather, cast you out." And he fucking basically boots him into Midgard, into the Bifrost. And because this movie does the classic like early or like mid 2000s 2010s thing where it starts in media res, like in the middle of the movie, it takes us back to that scene, and we see Thor get hit by the car by Jane Foster in the storm. But then he does the great, he enchants Mjolnir,
right?
And we see him say, that whoever shall hold this hammer, if he shall be
should
worthy,
he be worthy,
should he be worthy, possess the power of Thor, and then he throws that to Earth as well. And just Anthony Hopkins' delivery, his like gravitas, his like intensity in this scene is so good.
Oh, I agree.
And like the disappointment that he portrays, like he's not so much angry, but he's like a parent struggling to figure out what to do with this child.
It's not that I'm angry at you. I'm just really disappointed.
The worst.
Yeah, the absolute worst. So I mean that's my favorite quote and scene there probably too. So
I don't know why, but it only occurred to me during the rewatch. And it's gonna totally shit on everything you just said, which I'm apologizing for, because I loved everything you said, but I don't know why. But if either of you seen the movie Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood,
no,
a long time ago,
fantastic movie. But there's this reoccurring character, Keenan Ivory Wayans, who plays a delivery man, and just randomly throughout the movie, as they make some point, he just like peeks his head in and goes, "Message." And like that was my thought when Odin's banishing Thor. Like, oh, here's his lesson. I need Keenan Ivory Wayans to peek in and be like, "Message," and keep on moving.
Oh, there's one moment that I forgot right before that. When Odin arrives in Jotunheim, Thor's all pumped. He's like, "Father, we'll finish them together." And Odin just looks at him and goes, "Silence." And it's just another one of those like, oh shit. Like, yeah, exactly.
And a nice Chianti.
It's another one of those moments where it's just like, Odin is not to be fucked with.
This is the king. Like, this is the king of gods right here.
Exactly. This motherfucker doesn't mess around. But and then we get kind of the majority of the rest of the movie, which is Thor on Midgard.
Yeah.
So
pumps the brakes a bit.
It slows down. I think there's some good comedy moments that kind of foreshadow where Thor goes in terms of his comedic.
Definitely a shameless plug for Taser.
Yeah,
like, nobody says I tasered someone. It's always don't tase me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I say it like 6 times.
But yeah, Darcy, so basically Thor lands on Earth. He runs into Dr. Selvig, Jane Foster, and Darcy Lewis, their intern, and they hit him with their car. So they take him to the hospital after Darcy tases him because he's freaking her out, and he's talking like a fucking Norse god, crazy person to them. So they take him to the hospital, and then he ends up waking up at the hospital and freaking the fuck out and trying to or beating everybody down and escaping from the hospital. But then they cut over to his hammer landing in another part of New Mexico, which I forgot this movie took place in New Mexico.
Land of enchantment.
Yeah, it's also the land of cooking meth in the desert. Like our Walter White and Jesse, like in the crystal ship in the background. Like,
boom! What the fuck was that?
You just see the fucking like camper just roll through the background of the scene with all those people.
And Jesse knows what it is, and so he's like trying to tell. Tell Mr. White,
yo, Mr. White, that's Mjolnir, man. I'm worthy.
Science.
Not right now, but later.
I might be.
And he's just like, Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, science is magic, bitch. Yeah. I just thought that would be very funny because this Breaking Bad was going on at the time this movie came out, so they could have worked in a cameo there.
Because this is also our first introduction in the movie to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen until a little bit later. But is this the first appearance of Sitwell?
Yes,
and Hawkeye. I know it's Hawkeye's first appearance, but it's Sitwell's too.
Jasper
correct?
Sitwell. Yep.
Who He's nothing in this movie, but he's a big deal later on.
in Winter Soldier, and
Yes.
he's in Avengers too. He's in Avengers and Winter Soldier, and then he's in one of the shorts, some of the Marvel shorts that
Yes.
they used to make.
On the way to Thor's hammer or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. What was there? Where was that? Oh yeah. So Thor ends up fighting security and nurses. And dude, this must be the fucking most secure, crazy hospital in the world.
Yeah.
I am at the hospital on a fairly regular basis as a cop, and I'll tell you that lots of people do like to fight at the hospital, and not once have I ever seen any nurse try and tackle a motherfucker, let alone fucking the security guards. No. Never once have I seen a security
Those
guard
are
jump into
off-duty cops that want no part of anything.
Well, even the fucking the actual staffed security guards at the hospital,
right.
It's like a fucking 18-year-old kid who has no idea what the fuck he's doing or whatever. It never once, especially a dude who looks like fucking Chris Hemsworth and is throwing people across the room. I'd be like, you're free to go. Get the fuck out of here.
Also, fastest working psych drugs of all time that they pump in his ass. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot they give him the shot in the ass.
Like, I'm the son of
and that's the first instance we get of the. I think he does it in every Thor movie going forward of his face getting smushed against glass.
Really?
Yeah, he does it. He does it in Infinity War too. When the Guardians of the Galaxy find him, he smashes up against the plane. He does it in Avengers when he's in the thing that tumbles from the helicarrier to Earth.
Loki's cage.
He does it in that. I can't remember if he does it in Dark World because I haven't seen that movie in forever.
I can't think of a moment in Ragnarok where it happens.
I'm pretty sure he does it in Ragnarok too. Though I can't remember exactly when it would be.
I don't know if it's the glass. Like he gets his face smashed up against the. He does in Valkyrie's ship. She tases him and he fucking sprawls out on the windshield of her ship when she's driving drunk after she picks him up at the very beginning.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember exactly.
It's almost like the same thing as from from Infinity War, the Guardians of the Galaxy, except this time he's on the inside of the ship.
Okay, that's all I can think of is the one from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, after that they cut to him. I guess Jane realizes. Oh no! I guess Shield. So Shield shows up and starts
takes all her shit,
appropriating all of her research and her equipment. And
she's a scientist, by the way, astrophysicist or some shit like that.
Yeah, she's really into these weather anomalies that we later learn are associated with the Bifrost.
She's smoking hot too. I don't know if that matters to anybody.
She's absolutely gorgeous.
Geek goddess.
Yeah,
Natalie Portman.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Natalie Portman, Padme, hand in hand.
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley.
So she decides, well, I need to talk to this guy that I hit with my van that we found in the storm because I have no other research, I have no other information, but he was there. I'll go back and talk to him. And they go back to the hospital and they can't find him anywhere. And then they're like, well, I guess we got to go. And she backs into him with his car on accident, hitting him with the car for the second time, which I thought was a great gag. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to do this on purpose. But we cut back to Asgard. We find out that Loki. So in Jotunheim, Loki finds out that there's something different about him because when the frost giants touch him, he doesn't get burned with the frostbite, basically like Volstagg did. He one of them grabs him and expects to hurt him, and then just kind of turns a little blue and then kills that dude. But so Loki realizes he's different, and he goes into the weapons vault and he grabs onto the casket of Winters and basically turns into a frost giant in front of Odin. And Odin gives him the breakdown. It's like, okay, yeah, I lied earlier. I told you that story about how I went to Jotunheim and I took down Laufey and I ended the war. Well, I also found you abandoned in one of their strongholds, and I
totally weren't his son or the rightful king of Jotunheim or anything. I
stole you because you were an innocent baby. And he's like, bullshit. Why'd you actually take me? And he's like, because I thought you'd be a pawn for peace. Basically, I thought we could broker peace, a lasting peace between our peoples. And Loki, understandably, doesn't take that very well.
Yeah, that probably pissed me off.
But I really love this I've talked about when we've been watching Loki how great Tom Hiddleston is, but I think his range here is so good. Like, he's pissed, right? Like, he's been lied to his whole life. He feels like he's already felt like he wasn't he's not the firstborn. He wasn't the favorite son. He wasn't going to be king. He's the black sheep of the family sort of thing already. And he's yelling at his dad, and Odin collapses kind of into the all sleep. Which is this thing,
which means he's really tired.
He's real tired because he's got to recharge his power basically.
He's tired of his kids' bullshit. Basically,
kind of like when Yoda dies when Luke's asking him all those questions. Tired. He's just like,
"This is really hard. I could be a good person and explain everything, or I could just go to sleep for the rest of the movie."
Man, you're really annoying. But he like is yelling at Odin, and Odin collapses, and you can tell like he's like. Immediately feels guilty and torn about like,
I killed my dad.
I'm so pissed, but I didn't want you to die right in front of me. And he calls for the guards, and they kind of take him over to his chambers basically.
Which they say it later on when Thor finally returns at the end. He immediately gets up there and he's like, "Take my father to the healing chamber." I'm like, there's a fucking healing chamber? Why didn't we put him in there?
They don't take Odin to the healing chamber.
No, they don't.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
Thor says
because it's not
to take his dad to the healing chamber, and they're like, "Why the fuck wasn't he in there to begin with?"
No, they never. Thor doesn't say take Odin to the healing chamber. He's telling him to take. He's telling him to take Volstagg to the healing chamber because he got fucked up by the.
Why the fuck didn't they take Odin to the healing chamber?
Because it's like it's not. He's not hurt. He has to do that. It's part of his like life
so
cycle.
He just used a convenient time to not be a father and just like,
he's just like, this conversation is real hard.
I ain't about to pay this child support.
You never just pretended to be asleep when your kids come in at 5:45 and they're trying to get you up. Like, I can't hear you. Just keep my eyes closed. No, I'm not making you breakfast right now. You go away.
No, I don't want to play trains right now.
Have some cereal,
this is hitting way too close to home. I don't want to talk about it.
B's actually going to sleep right now.
Just so tired.
But so we see that a bunch of local yokels have found Mjolnir in the middle of the desert, and they're all having a grand old time trying to pull their hammer off. And
as one does,
as we discovered earlier, only those who are worthy can lift the hammer. And you see this large group of fucking idiots just like drinking and trying to pull the hammer out of the ground, and then you see them like hook a chain up to a truck and try and pull the truck or try and pull the hammer with the truck, and it rips the fucking whole bed and back off the
pulls
truck.
The axle right off.
Yeah,
of it.
And they cut to the driver, and it's the good old Stan Lee cameo. God rest his soul.
Yep.
But there's a couple other cameos in this movie, and one of which is in this scene. The first person to try and grab the hammer is actually J. Michael Straczynski, who's a comic book writer who's done a ton of Thor comics. So. Little nod to him there.
That is cool.
But then we see Agent Coulson show up, and S.H.I.E.L.D. then basically takes over the site. And they cut back to Thor and his adventures with Jane and Dr. Selvig, and they're at like a diner. And we get the classic Thor. I like this drink. I'll have another.
Fetch me another.
And just smashes the coffee cup, and they're like, why are you being such a dick? He's like, oh, I meant no disrespect. And they're like, stop breaking shit. He's like, sorry.
You're being a fucking ass.
You'll have my word. But then he hears somebody talking about how this satellite fell from space and nobody could lift it, and he somehow deduces that it's Mjolnir and realizes like, this is my ticket back to being Thor. Actually, is go get my my hammer and restore my power. Which it's funny because this movie kind of like directly contradicts Ragnarok, because in that movie Odin tells Thor that like the hammer was never the source of your power, like you are the god of thunder, you're not the god of hammers, sort of thing, and he ends up being able to kind of channel the lightning and without
but you can't teach your son a lesson if you tell him that. So he's got to be a man at some point.
He's fine being a dad at that point, but when Loki comes to him, he's like, you're like my stepkid.
You let somebody fuck you as a horse. Like, I don't have time for this.
I'm still real weirded out about the 8-legged horse I have to ride around, but
It's my grandchild.
Yeah, I should have put that thing down.
It's my brother cousin, I guess.
But
Brother cousin.
so then we see in the meantime though that Loki has taken the throne. And we
He's
get
sitting on it like Bo-Katan.
yeah, he's kind of in that
Yeah.
oddly casual, uncomfortable position as they come in, and
Which is also how Odin's sitting on the throne when Loki's pretending to be him in
Yeah,
Ragnarok.
in
Where
Ragnarok,
he's
when
like,
he's-
oh shit,
yeah.
it's Thor.
Oh shit. But we get kind of the showcase of Chris Hemsworth here, where he goes to the shield site to get Mjolnir and works his way through all the shield goons
So
and
fucking
beats
great.
the shit out of them in the pouring rain. There's a great little moment. I don't know why I like it so much, but Jane drives him there, and because she's clearly just madly in love with him, and she's pissed off that S.H.I.E.L.D. has taken all of her stuff, so she's kind of like, fuck these guys, you can go try and take this hammer from them, and drives him there, and then they're like kind of laying in the weeds waiting, trying biding their time, and he takes off his jacket and is like, you're gonna need this, and like lays it on her. She's like, what do you mean? And then it like thunders like it's gonna rain, and he just like looks up and smirks, like he's still got a little juice, like he still knows I'm the god of thunder, I can control the weather, I still understand these sorts of things. So I just really like that little moment there. But then he goes and he has his moment where he's beating the shit out of everybody and
So
kicking
great.
ass, and then he fights this gigantic fucking human being. Like, you're big if you're making Chris Hemsworth look like a fucking
Yeah.
tiny little man.
And that's where we get
You're
the,
big, but
the
I
first
fought bigger.
line. Yeah, you're big.
Yeah,
fought bigger.
fought bigger. But he does a great like double foot kick, slow motion in the air.
Pretty
right?
sure this is the same way that Chris Pratt broke his ribs when Zoe Saldana did that to him in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think you're right, but we also get to see, because Coulson is there, and he's like, I need a sniper. Or
With a gun.
I need somebody with a gun up high, is what he says, I think. And
was so lame.
They cut to an unseen hand, or an unseen person reaching a hand towards a wall of guns. He reaches for like a rifle, and then reaches for the bow and arrow behind
Why is
him.
that an option, by the way? You're in your armor and there's just a fucking bow on
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
you're telling me that's right there with the fucking sniper rifles and shit.
We got a
but
50 cal
Well, no,
sniper rifle. Like, what?
Yeah, they had to check all weapons when they came in.
Yeah, and
okay.
he had the bow and arrow up his ass, but he goes and grabs the bow, and we find out that it's Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. So this is his first MCU appearance,
Yep.
which I wasn't as a fan then. I wasn't paying attention to like casting and
calling him
rumors and
Barton, too.
Well, no, I knew who it was as soon as they said Barton, but like I didn't.
I mean, the bow and arrow
I
is
don't
pretty
know
telling, too.
with that too, but I didn't know. Like right now, like we've talked about before, like we're looking at news and we'll see like, oh, somebody's been cast in this movie. I bet they're going to be this person, or they'll just announce who they're cast as and stuff like
Right.
that. But I don't know if they like announced
I'm
that
pretty
Jeremy
sure they
Renner was
did.
going to be
I'm pretty sure
Hawkeye
they
in the
did.
movie. Okay, so that was
Maybe.
not something I was paying attention
Shit,
to
I
at this
don't
time when
remember.
I was watching these sorts of movies. But clearly, like we're doing the Marvel thing where we're building the wider universe while telling a good story.
Here's a
in the
breadcrumb
meantime.
for you to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a little breadcrumb for you. But
We get a couple of really good throwaway lines here, though.
yeah,
We get Clint Barton. He's there, and he's zoned in on Thor, and he's like, so do you want me to take him down, or would you rather send in more guys for him to beat up?
yeah. And then he's about to pick up the hammer, and do you have this quote too?
Call it Coulson.
Yeah,
or
you better
I'm
call it Coulson, because I'm starting to root for
starting
this
to
guy.
starting to root for this guy,
Yeah.
which is great. But so then Coulson's like, no, just hold on.
I want to see what happens.
I want to see what happens. And he goes to lift Mjolnir, and he can't do it.
Nothing worse when you can't pull off your hammer.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean, it happens to everybody, but
one in
You
five.
struggle,
Yeah.
and you struggle, and you just can't pull off your hammer.
yeah.
That was an Iron Man line from.
I
Avengers.
usually drop to my knees when it happens to me too, and
One-
just
one-
scream into the sky. So
1 in 5, I'm told.
yeah. But then he basically just gives up, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents move in and arrest him, and they bring him into interrogation, and Coulson kind of shows how much of an idiot he is, and just trying to interrogate him. And
Oh,
is
you're
like,
white. You must be Serbian.
Yeah, like, where'd you get your training? Croatia, Serbia, Afghanistan, whatever. But then he goes off to take a call or something, and Loki appears to him while he's in the cell, and just more manipulative Loki bullshit. He's like, "Oh, brother, it's so good to see you. I'm sorry it's like this, but hey, Odin's dead.
Yeah, you killed him.
It's
Yeah,
your
he
fault.
just, like,
the stress
straight up
of
says, killed him.
The stress of the war that you started with the Jotuns and having to banish you. Yeah, he croaked. And mom says you can't come home, and I'm king. So
Yeah, and I can't undo that
because
that would
look,
undoing the
that would
last
just
thing
look
he
bad.
said. Yeah.
So
fuck you. I gotta go.
this is goodbye. See you
Peace,
later.
I'm out.
But what I like about this is that Loki unwittingly is like his own worst enemy right here.
Gives him the thing he needs to become
Right.
worthy.
He humbles.
Yes.
He humbles Thor here in a way that, because one of the things that you see in this movie, like as a critique, is that Thor kind of had, like, we learn later in the MCU that Thor's like 1,500 years old.
Right.
And like, so we see like a lifetime of character development in one day in this
in a
movie.
day.
You know what I mean? Like
Maybe two.
A guy who's 1,500 years old, he meets some hot chick in the desert, and all of a sudden he's a good dude.
Hey, Padme
Like,
could change
but-
my life too. I'm just
Right.
saying.
And again, it's like, it's the product of it. It's a movie, and we have to have a plot and move things forward. But also, I like to think that it's like, well, Loki, while trying to, guilt him and trick him into staying on Earth because he killed his father, is ultimately what gives him
His own
the
downfall.
Humility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his own
Never-
humility
yeah.
and his own, like, well, you know what? I loved my dad. I feel guilty about being responsible for his death. Like, I have an opportunity to be a better man here, and to be like, and to give up the power that I had, and sacrifice and do that. And he does that. And then that's when we see later that he becomes worthy. So I just really like that, I just don't see that, as being a problem, I guess, with the character development that he has.
The first time in his life that he's actually realized the consequences of his actions, like never before has that happened. So
Exactly.
I mean, kudos to him to being able to see that, not just on his bullshit some more for another 1,500 years
Exactly.
or whatever,
There's one moment I forgot to talk about. So earlier when Loki takes the throne, and like Sif and the others come to visit him, and they find Loki as the king, he stands up and he thuds the spear like Odin, but it just makes like a normal, just like knocking sound. Like, it's not like the wong, and it doesn't like command the same like respect and like moment of that. Like, it's very nice little detail that he's like, no, you're not king. Like, you're a false king here, sort of moment. So really like that.
So since you brought them up, Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, I feel like they were intended to be so much more than they actually ended up being.
Yeah, they're
because
they're
they're
not
like
great.
they were like a lost cause in Ragnarok. Like they're the only one that survives, spoiler alert, is Sif. And then you don't see Sif again. Like, I was under the impression that she died in Infinity War, but then you don't see her again until Love and Thunder, and then she has this super just bit part cameo. Really,
Is she missing an arm?
she loses an arm on Jotunheim for whatever reason. They go to Jotunheim. Oh, because they're going there to find the God Killer. They go to Jotunheim and they fight him, and he cuts her arm off. And I thought she was gonna die there, but then turns out they just gave her a Winter Soldier arm.
Yeah.
And she's fine. But
It's a destroyer arm, I think is what it is.
oh, you might be right.
Yeah.
I think you are right.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I thought the way they built those, I don't know that they were going to have their own movie or anything. I just thought they'd be something more than a fucking bookmark.
Well, and
going
later,
forward.
what's his name? Fenrir, I think is his name. Anyway, the kind of like Robin Hood esque one.
He gets recast, right?
He gets recast as Zachary Levi, who's Shazam.
Yeah.
And he only took that role because he was promised that it would turn into a bigger part.
Okay. See,
that he
for
would
some
kinda
reason, I
have
thought
his
it was
own-
the other way around. I thought it was Zach Levi first, and then he.
No.
Okay, so he comes in afterwards.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But they really are kind of like we. Okay, so we see, like Thor accepts that his dad's dead and he can't go back to Asgard, so he kind of just starts embracing his time with Jane and his new friends with Dr. Selvig and Darcy and stuff. And then the Warriors 3 are like, we don't accept Loki as king. We need to get Thor back here to like remedy this situation. So they go to Heimdall.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they go to Heimdall, and Heimdall's like, he's been expressly ordered by Loki not to open the Bifrost for anybody until they can settle this Jotunheim issue. And he's like, so you would have me disobey my king and open the Bifrost so that you could disobey your king and go bring the banished Thor back to Asgard? And Sif's just like, yeah. And he's like, okay, go ahead, basically. And he's like, no, I'm not allowed to open the Bifrost for you, so I don't know what I can tell you.
Right.
And just walks
I'm on
away.
my break.
Yeah.
Yeah,
will you guys keep an eye on that for me real quick?
Yeah,
I
keep
gotta
an eye
go.
on that sword that I opened the Bifrost with to Midgard.
Totally like a rainbow bridge over there. Just
There's a
like,
sticky note with some explanation on
how
it.
to do this.
What angle you got to
Yeah.
turn it
Alt
to.
delete on there.
Yeah.
And the password.
If you sign in as
Up,
guest,
down, up, down,
password
left,
is
right,
password.
left, right.
yeah. If you sign in as guest and use 12345 as the password, it'll get you to Midgard. But so they go to Midgard and go to Earth looking for Thor, and they show up and see Thor cooking breakfast for his buddies and everything like that. Well, Loki finds out what Heimdall's done, and Heimdall tries to fucking kill him, and he freezes him with a casket of winters, like just inches away from the sword, cutting his fucking head off, basically. And then Loki, being the little bitch he is, sends the Destroyer, who we previously saw in the invasion scene where they came in and the Frost Giants came to Asgard and tried to steal the casket. They send the Destroyer to Earth, and it just starts fucking destroying this little town in New Mexico.
Well, I love how initially they, just because it's made out of metal, they think it's like Iron Man's.
Yeah, they're like,
and
is this
like,
one of Stark's suits?
that guy doesn't tell
Yeah, he
me
doesn't
anything.
tell me shit, and he gets a fucking megaphone. He's like, "Sir, you are using unregistered weapon technology." I'm like,
Nerd.
"Yeah, this is not how you talk to shitheads, man. Okay, this is not how you talk to shitheads. You don't talk like a robot." But then it destroys all these shield cars and then starts making its way to this little town. Which another cool piece of this, they built that whole town,
yeah.
and then fucking destroyed it.
It looks so much like the Cars town.
It does look like the Cars town. Yeah, you're right. But it shows up, and right as the Warriors 3 are talking to Thor, and Thor's like, "Hey, I'm going to help. I'm a human now. If I were to fight this thing, I'd just be getting in the way. Like,
I'm going to get bitch slapped.
I'm going to get these people to safety. You guys take on the Destroyer." And so there's kind of a cool moment where Volstag's getting his butt whooped, and he's using it as a distraction essentially for Lady Sif, and she, he's about to get blown away by the fire of the Destroyer, and she jumps off a building and stabs it like right through the chest and neck with the spear, and you think like, oh nice, they got it, okay. And then all of a sudden it like kind of powers back on, and it basically like T-1000s,
yes,
like, and turns its whole metal body so that it's facing her now, like face up, and blasts the hellfire or whatever it is, and she jumps out of the way, and then they're basically like, they're on their toes, they're on the back foot running away from this thing, and Thor's just like, nah, like, it's me or after, and we kind of get this ultimate expression of his new humility.
I love you, brother.
Yeah. And he goes and he's basically talking to Loki through it, and he's like, "Hey, whatever I did to piss you off, I'm real sorry, but if you want to end this, kill me and, spare these people." And it, for whatever reason, Loki doesn't have it kill him, but it fucking bitch slaps him across the map.
Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, and which, I mean, I accept that Thor was just like, well, I'm dying here. Like, this is...
No, I agree. But I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Loki sent the Destroyer, didn't he just say, make sure Thor doesn't get here? Like, he doesn't...
I don't know. I can't remember what he says
kill
exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I can't remember exactly what he says. But, so it destroys, or it beats the shit out of Thor, basically, with one smash, or with one hit, smashes him. It essentially kills him. And I like the the way they did that. Like, it looks very in line with like the spikes that he has on him and like the way it hits him. It's good attention to detail with that and everything. It's not like an action movie hit where it's like
he's got a little bit of blood.
Yeah, he's just kind of like bleeding from his lip and kind of like like. But at this point, they cut back to the shield facility where they've built up around Mjolnir, and they're like, "Oh God, we're getting a lot of interference," and it just rockets into the air. And Jane's over there like, "No, please don't die, please don't die." And Dr. Selvig's like, who's been the only person who has any knowledge of Norse mythology this whole time, is like, you gotta move right now, and like goes and drags Jane away, and the hammer comes rocketing down, and you just see his arms shoot up and catch it. And I love, like, so we've kind of gotten to a point in the MCU where these little details have gone by the wayside because there's so much other shit going on in the movies that they don't have time to like live in these little moments. But like the suit up scene for this, where he's just like, the lightning is coming down and the individual little chain mail parts of his armor are like chinking up his arm, and
which was very reminiscent to Iron Man zipping up the hoodie in Infinity War and the nanotechnology. So maybe he got some of that from Thor.
Maybe, yeah. But this, and similar, what I thought you were going to say is that like we have a similar moment in the first Iron Man where we really bask in like him suiting up for the first time, and
it's they do that in almost all of them except like, well, even the third one has it.
I think the first suit up scene that we get in Iron Man 1, like where he is in like his garage and he's like lifted into the air and it's like riveting the suit to him and it's like uncomfortable
and it takes
like 5 minutes for him to like get fully into the costume, and then they do a gag later where he's trying to get out of it and it's like even harder.
This isn't the worst thing you've caught me doing.
Let's face it, this isn't the worst thing you've caught me doing. But and it, like, I like the nanotech, and I think it looks cool as fuck in Infinity War, and it is super like on brand for that character.
Oh yeah.
But I really hate, like, in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, this isn't going to spoil anything for you in that terrible movie, but they have nanotech suits too, and it looks like a commercial level, like CGI, like something you'd see in like a fucking Dunkin' Donuts commercial or something. Like, it just looks atrocious. And it looks like it's very like copy and pasted, like one dimensional on them, versus like when we see this, like it's all CGI, right? Like there's no person being suited up as Thor in a lightning storm sort of thing. And it looks fucking fantastic, I think.
I agree.
And then we get the great costume, and we get to see him take down the destroyer. We get to see kind of another taste of his abilities, which we later see him kind of use similarly in the Avengers, where he summons the lightning and the weather, and he like basically makes a tornado and pulls the destroyer into the air, and then is able to block the fire with Mjolnir until it basically explodes, and takes it down, and then he just walks out of the storm like, all right, what's next? Like, this was no big deal.
Does a little dust off.
Yeah,
like,
this was a Tuesday for me.
Yeah,
so
ain't shit.
But
where them Pop-Tarts? You know?
Yeah, you had a whole box of Pop-Tarts. You must feel like shit. You still did that?
Yeah, I'll take another Boilermaker, please.
Yeah.
But this was one of I thought was hilarious in the rewatch was right after that happens, the Warriors 3 are like, hey, we gotta go deal with Loki.
Yeah.
We gotta go back. And he immediately walks over to Jane and he's like, I promise I will return for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes, pal. This isn't a thing. Like, we just had one night. It wasn't a big deal.
We had breakfast together.
Like,
we haven't even fucked.
Like, I don't know why you caught feelings. This is fucking weird. Like, fucking red flag here.
I don't
we
know,
got a stage 5 clinger.
It is funny because like we said, this takes place in like probably less than 24 hours. But their chemistry, like Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman, I think they're fucking great. Like probably because they're both just like wildly attractive Hollywood
that
people.
Probably doesn't hurt at all.
But he like a gentleman kisses her hand and is like, I'll return. And then she's like, fuck that. And they make out. But yeah. And then he beats Spider-Man.
But for a long time, because the old Bifrost is broken.
It takes a while. They got to drive all the way over to the fucking
we have this unbelievable technology in Asgard, but we got to fucking contract out bridge work. So it's gonna take a minute to get that thing fixed.
Yeah, we actually hire the elves from Vanaheim to do that work or whatever.
It's a union deal, so there's
Alfheim.
a bidding war. It's a pain in
We
the
got
ass.
to put it to
let me tell
bed.
you.
The Asgardian accountant makes sure that we do that.
It's a government contract.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe the amount of
we're,
red tape
we're
on
gonna
this.
pick the lowest common.
Forever.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
But also at this point, Coulson shows up and he's like, "Know this, son of Cole."
Yeah, that's a great line.
I just like the idea that that's what he thinks his fucking name is because where he's from is he's the
that's what
son
we
of
do.
Odin. I'm Thor
I'm
Odinson.
Thor Odinson.
Yeah. But he makes it back to Asgard and he has the big battle with Loki. But
Equally important was Coulson's. I got to debrief you. Oh, fuck.
yeah,
wait. I gotta debrief. God, I'm really bad at this.
Colson is such a fucking nerd
I
in these
know.
fucking movies, man. He's great. I love
He's
it.
a G.
I
He's a
love him
fucking straight
in
G,
the
but-
Avengers and his sacrifice in the Avengers. Like, you lack conviction. But he's such a fucking by the book nerd in this.
Yeah.
But so he goes back to Asgard and he confronts Loki and, tells his mom, like, this motherfucker told me dad was dead.
Yeah.
This dude's a dick. What the fuck, man?
You're not my real brother.
And so they fight. And still Thor's like the level-headed big brother for the at least first part of it. He's like, I don't want to fight you, dick. Like, trying to have a conversation here, which I love that this whole thing feels like a legitimate fight between brothers.
Right.
That's my favorite part about this whole thing is like, listen, I'm trying to have a conversation. Quit being a dickhead. And he's like, no, fuck you. And then they just start fighting. And
But that was my point too, was like, why on any fucking possible reason would Loki want to fight Thor?
Right, exactly.
He knows how this is
because
ending.
he's just so fucking pissed off and grumpy, and he has that chip on his shoulder, and he's hurt. And like they even said in that episode of Loki, he's like, that one time I was so mad at my dad and my brother that I held the entirety of New York hostage with an alien army.
Right.
Sometimes it happens. Like,
and
we see how young Loki is in this. Like Tom Hiddleston's a baby faced fucking Loki in this, and it really is just like a hurt kid, like lashing out against his family. Like he's the emo kid of the family who just like nobody understands.
I
Like,
get why you turn him into a frog at that point. I don't think you want to go toe to toe with this motherfucker. Like,
yeah. But they fight, and it's kind of like it's like you can tell Thor's just kind of like, dude,
I'm pulling my punches.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
fucking whoop your ass.
Yeah.
You better.
I'm gonna warm it
motherfucker,
up. I'm gonna warm it up right now.
And then finally, like Loki's like, yeah, I fucking got this guy, and he tricks him with an illusion, and then he's kind of being a braggart and like showing all of his illusionary powers, and he's about to hit him with the fucking spear again, and Thor's just like, oh my god, enough, and like summons the lightning down and just knocks him on his ass, and just the most condescending fucking ending to that fight. Thor just walks over to him, sets Mjolnir down on his chest
right on
because
his
of the magical logic of that nobody can lift it, even though it like it like you'd think like,
can
oh, that's
ride in
gonna
an elevator.
it's gonna crush it. Yeah. Is the elevator worthy? Like it just, and he's just like, can't, fuck, god damn it, like he can't get up from
I mean,
it.
it's pretty awkward when somebody throws their hammer on you.
Yeah,
you know?
when they just slap it on your chest. It's real awkward. But
would it leave a stamp?
yeah, I think probably a stamp on there. So it's lucky he didn't get it on the face. But
So weird. Yeah.
But I just like it legitimately, and I don't know if it was intentional. Maybe they thought it was some great epic battle, but it just feels so accurate to like two siblings just fighting over some shit, like some dumb shit. Like, what you said dad was dead. What the fuck, man? Like, yeah, I was joking, but I mean, I was also kind of pissed off at you. I was like, you fucking dickhead. Like, we're gonna fucking handle this.
You drank the last juice box.
So these brothers have been fighting for 1,500 years now, or whatever. So you think they've had this fight before? Something similar. So Thor knows all of Loki's tricks, right?
Yeah.
So he's just going along. So at the end, that's when he's like, enough. Okay, I know how to stop this.
But at the same time, Thor continually falls for the I'm an illusion.
He's still
gag.
not the brightest bull. Like he's still fucking
I didn't
falls
say
for
he
it.
was smart. I just said he knows the tricks. Yeah.
But yeah, it was
so he basically what Loki's final bid to do was he let the frost giants into Asgard with the intent of he tricked them and said, hey, I'm going to let you into Asgard. I'm going to let you kill my father so I can be king. And then I'll give you the Casket of Winters and Jotunheim can return to its glory. And they're like, cool, let's do it. So he sneaks him into, well, he doesn't really sneak him in. He uses the Bifrost because he can now, into Asgard. And he's like, there's my dad. Go at it. And right as Laufey is about to kill Odin, Loki, kills Laufey in like this backwards attempt to prove himself to his father and be like, hey, I rescued your ass. I saved you when you were in the all sleep.
See, I disagree with that. I don't think it was to win over Odin. I think it was to win over Asgard because I don't think Asgard would ever accept Loki unless he did something like that.
I agree. I think they're like two sides of the same coin. Because he says later he was proving himself to his dad too. But then because of this kind of assassination attempt, he now has the justification to go destroy all of Jotunheim. So he opens the Bifrost and leaves it open, which they say basically will like build up like a fucking WMD and just like annihilate the whole realm.
The power of the Bifrost would destroy the realm.
Annihilate the whole realm. And so he's doing that. And after their fight, Thor can't even make it into the Bifrost to turn it off because it's just too powerful. And so he, instead of getting into the Bifrost, he gets his hammer back and he destroys the Rainbow Bridge so that the Bifrost falls into space, basically, and which also limits his ability to go to Midgard. Like he's cut off and stuck in Asgard
allegedly,
now, which they fix later. But in that movie, it's like I sacrificed my love with Jane, my ability to go back to see her.
I mean, it was one night, bro.
It was, they catch feelings hard in Asgard.
1,500 years old, and that's what
exactly.
you're going.
Again, it's Natalie Portman.
Yeah, I mean...
Fair enough.
Right.
Okay, I understand where he's coming
I'd
from.
let the Jotuns die. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm going back. We got plans tonight.
Fuck them frost giants, motherfucker.
That's a shirt. Fuck them frost giants. Just a rainbow bridge.
Crumpled up Rainbow Bridge. Fuck the frost giants.
So then Odin wakes up when he destroys the Rainbow Bridge. It was the shortest all sleep of all time.
Yeah.
But
I just needed a quick little zinger there, and I'm good.
Just a power nap, guys. Yeah. You're wearing me the fuck out.
Basically, until Loki shut the fuck up.
This whole movie is just a really accurate description of what it's like to be a parent of two asshole siblings who are too close in the same age, and the dad's just like, I cannot deal with your shit right now. Yeah. I'm going to take a nap. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Do not fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and everything's fucked up. God damn it.
The whole reason I went to sleep, he just jumped off the Rainbow Bridge. So I guess I'm fine now.
Yeah. But it shows...
I mean, I'm sad. I'm real sad.
It shows Thor kind of mourning his brother and missing Jane, and they have this big banquet scene, and Thor... where previously he would have relished in this sort of thing and like the spoils of war and being celebrated. He doesn't even sit at the banquet table.
Well, he's not banging Natalie Portman.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
But there's another cameo at this point. Walt Simonson, who's a hugely influential comic book creator on Thor, is sitting next to Lady Sif and Volstagg at the table.
Yeah.
So just another cool nod that they did for them. He talks to Odin and he's like, hopefully someday I make you proud, Dad. And Odin just being like,
I didn't teach you to be a suck ass.
He's just like, you already did, man. Just chill out. Like, stop being such a fucking
You're still
drama
fuck
queen.
Off.
Stop being such a drama queen,
No
man.
one needs attention that bad.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And that's kind of where the movie ends. And then we get our typical Marvel post-credit scene that we've come to expect.
So this is... definitely a nod to an ongoing gag between Duncan and I, but the only thing I could think of the after credit scene, Nick Fury meeting Eric Selvig, Nick Fury explaining that, hey, we found the Tesseract. This might be the key to unlimited power. And all I can think of is Kermit as the Emperor. Power! Fucking jumping across it. Do it. Unlimited power. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, Google Kermit as the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. But
maybe we'll link it on one of our socials.
Yeah,
sure. Let's do that.
But what we see here, which I didn't remember and I thought was interesting because I didn't remember this post credit at all. I had to even skip forward to be sure that there was one initially, because I was still so early in the MCU.
Well,
I didn't remember.
This was the tie-in to Captain America as well.
But I just didn't remember if they had been putting them in every single movie at this point, and they had been. But
well, they had since Iron Man.
Yeah.
Iron Man was the first. Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. Like in the MCU, that they've been putting them in almost. But what we see is, Nick Fury shows Eric Selvig the Cosmic Cube, or the Tesseract,
or the Space Stone.
The Space Stone, whatever you want to call it. And they kind of cut to a reflection, and you see that Loki is basically possessing Eric Selvig, and he tells him what to say, which is interesting because later in Loki season 1, only Sylvie is shown to have the ability to possess people. Like, that's her whole shtick in season 1.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that she's like touching people and possessing them in the Roxxon scene, in the rain. Like, she's possessing all these different people, and then we see even in season 2 she possesses Brad. Loki never does that, but here he's clearly doing that. Unless it's like
he does do it, but he does it with the Mind.
I was going to say he looks like he's under the power of the Mind Stone at that point, so maybe that's what it's kind of referring to. He looks like a meth head.
Yeah.
He looks like he's on drugs. He's got bad teeth and everything.
Narcant.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Meth, not even once. But yeah, so that's Thor 2011. I think it holds up really well. I think it holds up a lot better than I remembered it too.
No, I always really enjoyed it, and this is definitely a movie that you can throw in and watch anytime.
How easily could they have fucked this up though? Like
100%. I had no
super weird Shakespearean, like sort of take on it at a time where we're getting movies like Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, where it's just so quippy and it's
like kind of grounded a little bit.
It's very grounded. It's very
it's bullshit science, but it's believable the way they present it.
We want to make Iron Man seem as realistic in the real world as we possibly can, down to the suit design, down to everything that we do in it, even the way we're making the movie and shit like that. And then it's just like, by the way, there's like 9 realms and gods, and this is there's magic and science is magic. And this isn't actually magic. There's actually just the weird Doctor Strange magic. But
that was the only thing. That was their only attempt to ground the movie. Was I come from a place where magic and science are the same thing.
Right. You call this magic. Science, I come from a world where that's the same thing.
And
which I thought was I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, really
I do too.
line,
I don't know at the time during that movie when I'm watching it for the first time, I don't know that worked for me. Like maybe I was like, that's kind of a lame attempt.
Yeah.
But as the MCU grew, I think, especially when you get to Ragnarok, because that's a definite mix of your fantasy and your sci-fi, where you got like half the movie is Norse gods and the other half is like this sci-fi space battle world.
Yeah. So I have a question. So Thor explains the 9 realms, right? And he says that they're all basically branches on the world tree of Yggdrasil, which more Norse, like direct pulls from Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
But so he describes them as like Asgard and Midgard and like in Vanaheim and Elfheim and Jotunheim and all these other ones. But so as Asgard and Midgard being separate realms, when he goes to Midgard, is that like the entirety of our universe? Like, does that include all the alien planets like Morag
I gotcha.
and Nowhere and like all of the cosmic side of the MCU that we see as the realm of Midgard? Or is like Asgard just like really far away in our universe? Do you know what I mean? Is it like another dimension sort of thing in our same?
Well, because if I'm right, if I remember right, when in Ragnarok, when they go to Sakaar, they don't ever explain what realm that is part of.
Right.
But it's not named in one of the 9 realms. And the only planet in Guardians of the Galaxy that is named by Thor is the Dead Star.
Nevedalir.
Yeah, Nevedalir. Yes, thank you. So that's like the only other place.
Right, and that's where he says that Odin had them forge
Mjolnir.
And,
yeah.
So
I don't know. That's a great question.
But is that just like, oh, I know there's some, because like we see in like God of War in Ragnarok, like we see that like Odin regularly has dealings with the other realms,
right?
Like Alfheim and Vanaheim and all of them, and he's fucking them up. But like,
maybe those 9 realms that's the gateway to the rest of these places. So like Midgard it's Earth, but it's also all these places in the Guardians of the Galaxy universe or galaxy, whatever you would. And then it's another galaxy.
So like if you go to Jotunheim, which they show is like a planet,
right?
Essentially, when the Bifrost is like destroying
it's like the capital.
Yeah,
I guess.
So Jotunheim is just one planet in kind of a galaxy that is part of Jotunheim. Maybe.
I mean that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And how does like the traveling work in Guardians of the Galaxy when they're like jumping through the Universal Space Network thing? Those like hexagonal
or
things?
How does the Devil's Anus work?
That's true too.
You know?
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
Yeah.
We may never know.
Interesting. But
well, I always thought it was just super far apart, and it was just traveling distance.
And that's probably the simplest answer there, because like there's also when Asgard gets destroyed, they all end up in a ship and they're like floating through space, and then Thanos' ship shows up. So like, how did Thanos get access to there? Did he have? It's like because he has the space.
That's very
stone?
True. That's very true.
Yeah, so he doesn't have it yet. Yeah,
he gets it from the Asgardians.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Well, I think you.
If you know the answer, you should ask us, or you should tell us. I mean,
tell us to fuck off. Either.
Yeah.
One, but you covered your favorite quote there, but favorite character.
I think mine is Odin.
Agreed.
Just without like Chris Hemsworth is great. Without just saying the main character of the show or of the movie is my favorite. Yeah, I think Odin is great. I think that's
a solid pick.
He brings a huge presence to his role. So
I agree. Jimmy?
Yeah. Favorite character is definitely Odin. Let's see. Favorite quote is actually this one here. Okay. Thor, when he's talking to Dr. Selvig, he says, I had it all backwards. I had it all wrong. It's not a bad thing finding out that you don't have all the answers. You start asking the right questions. For the first time in my life, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And Dr. Selvig says, anyone who's ever going to find out or find his way in this world has to start by admitting he doesn't know.
Yeah. Deep.
There's some good character moments between a lot of people in this movie.
I don't think we give enough appreciation to Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, he's great in this too.
Really good.
Man, he's Luthen.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
As great as he was in this movie, I was not prepared for how good he was going to be
in
Andor. So
so it's that one or I Need a Horse.
in the pet store.
Marches into a fucking tiny little pet store.
All we have is
horse.
All we have is gerbils and rabbits. I just need one of those large enough to ride.
All we have is dogs and cats and birds. That's fine. Just give me one of those large enough to ride.
It's actually my favorite scene. But the clerk is just like what? What just happened? Am I getting punked? Where's
the cameras?
Yeah.
Where's Ashton Kutcher?
That's his name, yeah. I wanted to say Sean Astin. I'm like, that's not his name, though.
Where's the Aston Martin?
Yeah.
Wasn't he one of the Goonies?
He was.
Yeah. Okay. Man, favorite scene. That ending was pretty good on the battle on the Bifrost.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Anything with Anthony Hopkins in it was really good.
Oh, so good.
To be different, I'll give a twofer. I'm gonna say that this unknown kid stepping into like the biggest at the time. I don't think anyone had an idea. Maybe Kevin Feige knew.
Yeah,
but like the impact that the Avengers would have on all culture and cinema and like so I'll give half of it to Hemsworth of stepping up and being you're basically telling the kid like you're gonna be a superstar before this is over.
Yeah.
And he absolutely is that.
Oh yeah.
And then I think any good comic book or any story for that matter if you don't have a good villain, it's not going to be what it can be. Yeah. And I think we only get a taste, but Hiddleston was fucking money. Like, he was a good villain. He was a strong character.
I talked about how, it came down to Liam Hemsworth and Chris Hemsworth for the role of Thor, but Tom Hiddleston,
also
which is pretty well known nowadays, but he auditioned for Thor, and you can just Google the audition tape because they've released it now, and it's pretty funny.
I can't imagine
it's hard to imagine just because we have what we have, and we're so used to they're talking about Thor 5. Like, we've had a lot of Thor. We've had 4 movies of his own, plus all of his appearances in the Avengers and the other movies and stuff. Like, it's nearly impossible to picture anybody else in that. But I mean, maybe he could have.
Maybe I mean, I don't doubt his acting chops. It's just like, he does not look like Chris Hemsworth.
No, but Chris Hemsworth was like, he wasn't like a tiny guy, but he was scrawny.
Liam's pretty small compared to his
he was leaner,
brothers.
he was smaller, he looked a lot more similar to Tom Hiddleston then than he does like now,
even in the movie. Well, so I think favorite quote, I think we already talked about it a little bit, but I love Barton's line of, I'm starting to root for this guy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I think I'm going to flip it and go with the worst quote in the movie.
Okay.
Which was none other than Natalie Portman. Is this how you normally look? Yeah, more or less. It's a good look.
Good look. God damn, you're horny.
Can we just skip that? Like, say something else. Just kiss me or something. Like, god damn. So, made up rating system.
Oh, God, I always forget about this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll lead the pack. It's fine. I'm going to give it 3 out of 3 hammer pulls.
Whoa.
How about that?
Wow. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Go see that. Go see that.
Wow.
I'm going to go with 7 out of 8 horse legs on Loki's son, the 8-legged horse.
The beer almost got spit across the room here.
Incestual horse legs.
Well, I'm going to go with 7 out of 10, the gang's all back together moments.
Okay.
Yeah.
It happened like once in the movie, but if you were to give him 7, that's fine. It's a made-up rating system. Yeah.
It's all made up.
Yeah.
Did you know this movie's fictional? I didn't realize that until we were
no, according to my notes, he actually did pull his hammer at least 3 times in there. So, facts.
With Natalie Portman.
Facts.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was me. It doesn't really specify.
His hammer was pulled.
Hammer pulled 3 times.
There's just check marks next
3
to
out
it.
of 3.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, mail call.
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it.
Mail call. Mail call. Mail call. Mail call.
This is a section of the show where you, the viewer, you write in your questions and we answer them. Good, bad, or otherwise, you get an answer out of us. So, who's got a question?
I've got one from a frequent commenter and maybe a fan, but also maybe our harshest critic.
Ooh, okay.
We've got one from Xenophon the Disciplined. He reached out and told us that he enjoyed our Halloween special.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Or maybe, no, this was, let's see, which one is he talking about? Oh, he reached out and said that he enjoyed our Thing episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, either way, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, he told us not to punish ourselves with watching the 2011 one, though, because I think I had mentioned that I was interested to see what they did differently.
I think we were all
one.
just,
it's pretty tired.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We weren't actually going to do it.
No, I was just going to watch all her moments. But anyway, he says it is but a shadowy reflection.
Oh.
His question, though, is which is the best Indiana Jones movie, and why is it Temple of Doom?
I mean,
no, you're wrong.
Okay, here we go.
Temple of Doom, great, but
do you
Raiders.
remember which one you're talking about for this firstly? So, just so you know, the first one is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Before you answer, will you just give us a brief synopsis of what you think each movie is about?
I cannot speak to this accurately because I haven't seen the fifth one. But
I haven't
I'm
either.
guessing that's fourth in the rankings,
Probably.
more or less.
I don't think we need to worry about that.
Yeah,
In the top
Crystal
contender.
Skull is definitely down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think of the first three, I could make an argument for all of them.
Yeah.
But I do love me some Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom's great. I really like Last Crusade. Like, I love Sean Connery.
I'm
I think
going to
he's-
say that's probably my favorite.
He's great, and I love because we've got this badass that is Indiana Jones this whole time, and then we just get his dad just being like, "Hey, Junior, like you're fucking nothing here, bud."
We called the dog Indiana.
Yeah, just condescending to him the whole time, and he's just desperately trying to prove himself to his dad the whole time.
Also, he's done these absolutely incredible things, and his dad's like, I don't give a fuck to find the Holy Grail.
Oh, you saw God?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
like, great work, bud.
Neat.
Yeah, you haven't found the fucking Holy Grail, though,
Neat.
have you? And he's
You
like,
didn't even-
fine, I'll fucking do it.
You didn't even stop the Nazis when you did it, you
God,
jackass.
Dad.
yeah. No, for me, it's Crusade, man. Crusade is the best. Then it's Raiders, then Temple of Doom.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow. I'm going to say, I would say that Crusade takes the top spot for me just because, like, my whole childhood of Indiana Jones, that was like, I was the oldest when those three movies came out, and being a big fan of the other two. But I will say, I think I played more games in my backyard that were based on Temple of Doom than just about anything else.
Yeah.
Other than Star Wars, I guess. But, yeah.
I do love, like, Short Round.
Oh, yeah.
And
his dynamic with is it Danny? What's her name?
Willie.
Willie.
The-
I knew it was,
yeah.
it was like a dude's
Yeah.
name. Sorry. Willie.
Yeah, Willie
Just have a
Scott.
fondness for Danny. It's like, I don't know what it is. But anyways, yeah. I don't know. I think he makes an excellent point.
Yeah, Temple is great. And I
depends on
think
the
there's,
day.
there's a lot of iconic, like, when you think about Indiana
the
Jones.
the
like
bug
you-
scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and
like
just
rolling
like
under the
ripping out the heart and Kalima.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
that whole bridge scene is really great. But, I mean, honestly, the first three are just, they're
You
fucking
can't
all
go
great.
wrong with
Yeah.
any of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if
I don't think he's wrong. I mean, the more I think about it, I can definitely lean towards that.
Yeah, I've always put Temple down at the bottom. I've always preferred either Raiders or Crusade to Temple.
See, I would probably put. I want to say it's a tie between Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, and Raiders would be the runner-up to those two.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder, because of the fifth one, if like there's maybe I wonder if there's a new generation of people going back and being like,
Yeah,
what is this Indiana Jones franchise that, you know,
I mean, I think he's got
came out
clout.
20 or 30
Yeah.
years before I was born? Like, what a
I mean, even Last Crusade, some of the VFX in that are so fucking hokey.
yeah.
That I think it would be really hard for a new audience to go back and watch, but also the story and the characters are so great.
Yeah, I think because that stuff didn't exist as much, that there's a lot more focus on character
Sure.
and story and stuff
Sure.
like that. So, and action and some of the cooler
yeah.
moments. Like, there's some great stunts in the Indiana Jones movies.
And we're
that-
way better
yeah.
than the younger generation, I think is what you're trying to say. It's
not
just like,
necessarily. I mean, but we are. But that's not what I was trying to say. But
get off my lawn.
Well, what I like about the Indiana Jones, the original three, is it's all about practical effects.
Yeah.
But that era was all about practical effects, and you see that lost in Crystal Skull, and then
Well, you also saw the loss of the intriguing characters and story, I think. too.
yeah.
yeah, that's true.
A lot of people talk about, and I think we've mentioned this before, that like people get pissed in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull that it's like, oh, it's fucking aliens. That's so like not Indiana Jones, and it's like, okay, let's take a
Come on,
let's,
man.
Let's
Let's take
back
a
it up,
look at what
and let's
Indiana
look at
Jones
what
has
weird
done.
shit Indiana
Yeah.
Jones has gotten himself into. The first movie, he saw God melt the faces off of a bunch of Nazis. I mean, he had his eyes closed, but he saw the before and after,
Right.
and he put the 2 and 2 together. Like,
Right.
we're talking about literally seeing God, and you're like, I don't know, man, aliens is too fucking weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about in the next one? There's like a whole cult of people that are stealing kids and doing
ripping hearts out.
ripping hearts out
Yeah.
and doing some fucking weird voodoo shit and have
But
a whole
you- but you
underground.
bought that.
Yeah, like that's
Okay.
cool, but not aliens.
Aliens.
Okay,
That's where you draw the
and then,
line.
And then there's
Okay.
this immortality and the Holy
Oh, yeah.
Grail again.
Yeah,
God.
A knight that's lived for almost 1,500 years
Yeah.
at this point.
Also,
Yeah.
the lamest challenge out of all the three were the invisible bridge.
Oh yeah.
That was
Yeah.
so dumb. I'm like, oh, so you see it now? It's there the whole time. You just
Yeah.
didn't see it before. So if
It's
at
just
any
it's
point
the
in time
illusion, the
you change your
perspective.
perspective and move your head, like, oh, it's right fucking there.
Oh, there it is.
I don't really have to leap for faith. I can just walk across
Yeah.
this stone
I just have to
bridge here.
squint.
Yeah.
Like just oh, there it is.
Move
Okay.
my head slightly
It's
to
not.
the left.
It's not even like real weird and janky. It's just like
I
oh,
lost
there it
my
is. It's-
balance. I fell, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, it's right there.
Yeah,
Maybe if I throw some rocks on it, somebody will slip and fall on,
yeah. And then, like I said, I haven't seen Dial of Destiny, so my understanding is that there's some time travel shenanigans in it. But I
I don't
haven't
think
seen it.
I don't think it could have been that great because
I will watch it when it's
I will too,
on
but
streaming, or maybe
I'm
it
not
already is.
gonna
but,
pay for it.
Yeah,
so.
I won't.
No, it's definitely better than
Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it's like maybe
It's
like
a low bar.
maybe like a natural forming rash is better than poison ivy. I mean,
Maybe,
neither
yeah.
one of them is good.
I mean,
right?
I think we've had this question before, but I think I put it on the same level as Temple.
and
yeah.
according to you, that's low praise.
It's not that Temple is a bad movie. I just don't
Of
enjoy
these
it.
three great movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. I can't wait to watch it and tell you how wrong you are. I think. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I am
That's
excited
no
to look
different-
at
no
some of
different
the
from any other
de-aging.
time, yeah.
That is true.
I'm excited to look at some of the de-aging stuff in it just because I
Yeah.
find that very interesting.
And it's
I-
it seemed to have gotten better.
Yeah.
The de-aging was really good.
and
It
seems
really
like,
was. Yeah.
like the use of, because obviously there's so much footage of Harrison
Right.
Ford for them to draw from. Like the guy's been acting for fucking decades and decades, and a lot of it for Lucasfilm and Disney.
Right.
So they have just access to this never-ending catalog of every single possible angle and word he could say and things like that.
I think that's why the de-aging in the Ant-Man movies also looks so good.
Yes.
Because of the two
People they're de-aging have been acting for a long
have
time.
been in so many fucking movies.
Like if you're de-aging some new actor, it's just not going to look as good.
I don't know. I think if it's a new actor, they do things like digital scans
Well,
before
yeah.
they film a movie,
But-
so that they can do that. But like, if you're trying to use the current technology for what they're using to de-age, I think it'd be way easier to deal with someone who's been in movies for 50
Yeah.
fucking years than somebody who's been doing it for.
But the other thing I
two
think
or
that
three.
they've started doing now, and I know they did in Indiana Jones, and I don't know how much they were doing this beforehand, but it makes a lot of sense, is they're making these really realistic masks of
Yes.
the actors and actresses so that the stunt person or whoever can wear them, and you're still getting accurate, how light reflects off that, like, of Harrison Ford's face, essentially.
They even did it
And-
in Breaking Bad. Like Walter White, what's his name? Bryan Cranston had a mask of his bald head because he didn't want to shave his head. Like,
Okay.
He wore it to Comic-Con one year.
Yeah, yep. He did shave his head for the
He
majority
did,
of
but
that.
there were times where he's wearing
well,
that
he definitely
fucking
didn't
mask.
in El Camino, and he looks like a weird little alien.
Right,
in that,
right.
unfortunately. But yeah, so that's a good question.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you, Xenophone. Do we have any others here?
Let's see. There's a one from X here. Who is the worst character in the Star Wars trilogies?
I mean, the easy one for the prequels is
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spread that that
Ahmed
hate
Best hate.
on Ahmed Best. You know what? Fuck it. Ki Adi Mundi. Fuck that guy.
Okay.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
This is kind of a side. Like, obviously Qui-Gon Jinn isn't the worst character in that, but why didn't they just buy Anakin's mom.
Oh no,
Out of slavery?
We're not here to free slaves.
Okay.
Yeah,
He said
and,
it. We're not here to do that.
Have you seen the meme where it's like Jedi accountant at Coruscant later, and it's like says here that Qui-Gon Jinn spent this much on buying a young boy
slave?
That can't be right.
No, what? He knows he can't do that.
I
right?
know this sounds bad, guys,
Hear
but
me
he's the
out.
chosen
Hear
one.
me out.
Yeah.
Chosen one. It sounds good, right? It flows
How
off the
about
tongue.
this makes you not sound like
Yeah.
a child predator?
We're gonna bring him into the council, and we're all gonna berate him about whether he misses his mom or not.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
thoughts rely on your mom.
His mom is his mom is a slave, and he's abandoned. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Jar Jar's the easy one in there. I would go with what's the slave or the floating
Watto.
Watto, thank you.
Watto is pretty scummy.
He sucks.
Yeah, he's got like a ball sack on his chin too.
Yeah. He kind of looks like a crackhead Grover from Sesame Street.
Reminds me of Charlie Murphy's like Oscar the Grouch character
Yeah.
from Chappelle's Show.
Yeah.
I said, "Fuck it."
I know this character had to die for the plot, and it was the only way to move the plot forward per their writing. But the bounty hunter that eventually led them to Camino,
Oh,
The one
Yeah.
that Jango Fett outsources the assassination attempt to.
yeah,
Zam
like,
Wessel.
yeah, you're supposed
Sure.
to be this badass bounty hunter, and you can't even you resort to bugs
Yeah.
That's your
That's your shtick, though, I guess. I don't know.
Apparently, they're highly
Again, why-
effective most
why
of
And
the
then,
time.
and then
Why
you
did
use
Jango
the
Fett
one
outsource that?
dart that leads. Well, no, that was Jango Fett that shot that.
So in the
that led to
video
Camino.
game, they kind of had a thing.
Django and
Yeah, and
The-
Oh,
Zam.
like they were like a couple.
they're banging. They're
Yeah,
beating Spider-Man.
they were beating Spider-Man together.
As we've talked about before,
Pulling hammers.
the possibilities when you have a changeling, in the
Right.
relationship. I
Yeah.
mean, that probably
You do think he had her turn into Django?
and
Whoa,
fucked
he
himself.
Talk
Man,
about
that's
mutual
weird.
masturbation.
the
that's
double
weird.
hammer pull.
Yeah.
So okay.
I was thinking Padme, but you
Yeah.
do you.
So how about the original?
Literally, yeah.
How about the original trilogy? Who's our worst character in the
Worst
original trilogy?
character. What's his name?
Porkins. No.
I mean, that is one. God, I can't think of his name. Fuck.
What's he look like? What's he do?
He, I don't like you either, Dr. Zaraban, and what's his buddy's name? The fly-looking dude that gets his arm cut off.
Oh, in the
Papa Banaba or something
I
like that.
couldn't tell you, man.
And at
These
the
are
bar.
some characters I'm not. In the cantina, right?
Yeah, in the first
I know
one.
what you're talking about, but I don't know their names by any means.
I'm close. I know it. Jimmy, what's your pick for the OG?
I mean, we kind of discussed this a little bit earlier, but C-3PO is a pretty good pick for that.
Yeah.
Just because he's so annoying. Even throughout the entirety of the saga, he's annoying. But what's interesting too is C-3PO knows all of the information. Or no, he had his mind wiped.
R2 does.
Yeah, R2 does. But
Yeah.
R2 could have easily said something, and then C-3PO understands him, so he could have been like, "Oh, well, that makes total sense now." And I never understood. Okay, so you have the protocol droids mind wipe, but you don't wipe
The astromech.
the astromech because nobody can understand astromechs. But then you have
But plenty of people can understand astromechs.
yeah, I never got that. But.
It is interesting when Obi-Wan meets R2 again. They're not
Yeah.
like, holy shit,
It's you!
R2?
Yeah.
Holy, which obviously we know is a product of building the plot backwards,
Right.
but it's just very funny when you think
I don't
about it
seem
in
to
hindsight.
remember owning an
Or like-
astromech.
Or fucking Luke and Vader in their dogfight and R2's in the fucking X-Wing and he's not like,
It's like that scene that
Anakin?
that Umbrella Company or Umbrella Academy scene. You've seen the Umbrella.
oh
Academy.
yeah, the
the
little meme they do where they're driving
past
and
each
they're
other,
just looking at each other.
you. It's
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Did you figure it out?
It's Dr. Evazan is the like, I don't know, butt face guy. And
Pig nose dude.
Yeah, the pig nose dude.
He's a Balchinian.
Yeah, bullshit.
What about you, Duncan?
I'm trying to think.
Baba.
Oh, Ponda
Baba.
Baba.
Yeah, so close.
The tip of my tongue.
I'm so
Yeah.
close.
I'll be honest. I don't really like Jabba the Hutt. I think he's fucking
burn.
just like
All right.
I think maybe it would have been better if it was some sort of like. My question about the Hutts is like, why are they such a feared crime syndicate family when like, what are you gonna fucking do?
Because they hired Boba Fett. Duh. Moving on.
Well, but like, why do they even get to hire these motherfuckers? Like, I'd be like, I ain't working for your weird obese fat slug ass. Like
That's true.
Money
Do
and
something.
power.
I guess, but
Maybe he's got like a kingpin moment where he just beats the shit out of somebody in an alley.
well, have you
just to
seen
prove a point,
the talk
you
about
know?
how Guillermo del Toro has said that he was tapped to make a Star Wars movie and he was
Which,
going to make
that intrigues the shit out of
a
me.
Jabba the Hutt like as Scarface
Mafioso crime
Mafioso
boss
movie.
kind of thing.
Nice.
I just want to see a skinny Jabba like out there wrecking shop.
I just
you know?
want to see him like lift up his fat and he's got legs and he just like walks.
That's how they move around. Yeah.
He just
A bunch of like millipede legs.
That's okay. Another
okay.
Quaalude salami in the morning. That was terrible. I'm sorry.
Was that supposed to be an Italian accent?
It was Cuban.
no,
Scarface.
yeah, that was Scarface.
Oh, okay.
But Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
But yeah, I've never understood why like that's such a thing. Like, why doesn't Luke in Jedi just fucking kill Jabba? Like,
Yeah, he's not a good dude. Why do you want to negotiate?
right? Like
with
you're
this
in there
guy?
trying to like you managed to work your way in under the pretenses of a negotiation. Why don't you be like, hey, Leia, you move like a little bit that way. You're dead. I cut you in half.
what was his
and
power-
if any
was his-
one of you motherfuckers looks at me, I'll do the same to you.
But because that would have given us mere seconds of her in the gold bikini, and that's not.
No, that's
we
fine.
need
She
more
could
of
just
that.
she could just be like, I like this, and wear it for the rest of the movie.
Like, I don't know if you know this, but my other clothes, I don't own another bra.
Yeah.
So it's
Just
just
wearing
this. This gives me a lot more support than anything else I own. Thanks, George Lucas, you perv.
All right. Sequel trilogy.
And moving on. Next question.
Which character isn't the worst in the sequel?
Honestly,
trilogy?
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, he's the one who's
Yeah.
not the worst.
He's a great character.
It's weird now.
Everybody else could have been, and we're done.
This is not like who's the worst character in it, but I think the worst character. Okay, maybe it is Darth Vader in the sequel trilogy. He's not in it, right? But like his destroyed like helmet is, and they're like using it as an excuse for why Kylo's doing all these bad things the whole time. And I know that like maybe it's the Emperor talking to him and like
I
tricking
think you're
him
giving him way too much
through
credit
that.
there.
But
Yeah.
like now that we have Ahsoka and we have seen Anakin's like Force Ghost redemption and like what
Force
he's
Ghost deadbeat
it's like,
grandpa.
Yeah, it's like where the fuck were you in that, motherfucker? Like you didn't show up once to your fucking grandkids and be like, hey man, maybe don't do this.
As far as I know, all my kids are. My wife, she died during pregnancy. Like, I don't know. anything about-
They're not my kids.
Yeah.
I had a paternity test.
Yeah, like
pending.
they pulled out way early on that.
My kids kissed and I kind of disowned them.
Yeah,
so
like, I
it
don't
got
talk
real
about
weird.
them. Like I told him he was my son only because I wanted to kill my boss.
And then my grandkids, then our grandkids kissed. Me and the Emperor's grandkids kissed.
Shit
It
has
was
gotten out of hand.
fucking wild. Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah,
Good question. And then we have one more from
he says, this is a good one. Which Avenger has the most useful, or
is the most useful.
is the most useful, or provides the most to the team? He asked the same for the Justice League, but that's a pretty easy fucking answer. So
Batman for Justice League.
I mean, he does fund the
he
whole
pays
operation.
for everything. Yeah,
They have a fucking satellite in
but
space.
I mean, they're pretty much useless when Superman's there. So
Everybody. Yeah, except unless somebody's got some kryptonite. But
that's true.
my argument for Justice League was going to be Martian Manhunter. I think he has the most useful set of skills of all the Justice League characters.
Do tell.
Well, he is a shapeshifter. He's a detective. He's as strong as he's like strong like Superman. He's probably not as strong as modern Superman, but can hold his own. He can density shift, so he can infiltrate pretty much anything. He can turn invisible, so he can do that. He can shapeshift.
Yeah, but any meth head with a Bic lighter in their pocket is like, ooh, get away from me.
That's true, but like, who's gonna really think that that's like the weakness of this giant Martian shapeshifting? You know,
I don't know if I was
dude.
high on meth. Maybe that's what I'd think of.
Yeah,
I don't know.
mean, so yeah, that's my pick for Justice League. I really like Martian Manhunter. But.
So I guess you flip that to the Avengers.
I mean, the easy argument there is it's Iron Man because he's not only the genius like engineer and weapons designer, but he also like cracked time travel in like a day.
That's true. You take him out of the equation and all bets
nothing
are off.
happens. Like he also funds the whole operation. He gives everybody their suits and technology.
He only cracked it because Scott came back and helped him crack it.
Well,
He didn't even think about it until he brought it up. So I think if he would have thought about it on his own, he would have came up with it.
Their plan is to go back in time and steal the stones before Thanos. But then he's like, Tony's like,
that's not how it works.
That would trigger the Deutsch proposition, which then the Planck, and like he's like, it's not possible. You're fucking crazy. And then he thinks of a way for it to be possible, and it's still not traditional time travel. It's going to these branch timelines and then coming back to your timeline. So he finds a workaround, but again, it's like he cracks time travel in one day on a whim because he's telling everybody, I ain't fucking doing this. But
he can't
I'm sticking with my family, but he's just kind of like, yeah, let's try this. Oh my God, it worked.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. I mean, that is an easy answer.
Yeah.
Especially if you talk about the plots of all those movies.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like they were written that way.
I know, right?
But
it's like, maybe he should be the most important person in this universe. But I think you don't have a team without Cap.
Yeah.
Cap is the glue that keeps them all together.
Yeah, I was thinking about Cap just because of his leadership and I mean he's super strong.
And he's a big moral compass too.
Agreed.
Maybe in this, I'm considering this like in the comics as well. Not just straight movie Avengers, but especially because like Martian Manhunter hasn't appeared in any appeared in any DC properties. He's in the Snyder Cut and it's dog shit, but
it's pretty bad.
I
don't know. I think those two are pretty good.
I mean, you could argue Scarlet Witch before she goes crazy and tries to kill everybody.
Oh, Scarlet Witch. I was thinking of Black Widow for some reason.
Scarlet Witch could
think of her often.
She can literally warp reality any way she sees fit, especially in the comics. She just with a thought wipes all of mutants out of existence. So
she beats Spider-Man too.
Yeah, she beat my Spider-Man. But
that is an ongoing gag that you're gonna have to listen to some previous podcasts to get to the bottom of.
I think it'll probably continue.
Or you could probably figure it out pretty easily.
Based on that one moment of context I gave you.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Last question here.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's see. It says, this is from our good friend Tony. Why is B so anti-zombie? I mean, sure, Walking Dead went from good to not great, but seriously, no love for the infection-based 28 Days Later, or even Zack Snyder's remake of The Dawn of the Dead. I did think 28 Days Later was pretty decent. I enjoyed that. I've never been a huge fan of the zombie.
But what is it
thing.
that you don't like about the zombie genre?
I don't know.
Because I think it can be done poorly, but I think when it's done well, it's great.
Dawn of the Dead was amazing when it came out. I remember watching it when I was in college, and it was so groundbreaking.
Zack Snyder one? You're talking about the newer one, right? When was that?
I'm talking like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
Well, that's not newer.
Or I'm thinking of Del Toro.
Well, the 2004 one Let's see. Who was that directed by? Was that? Yeah, it was directed by Zack Snyder. So that's what he's talking about. You're thinking of Army of the Dead,
Yes, I was.
which
Oh,
is
yeah, a
kind
couple
of
years
like
ago,
a
yeah.
follow-up to Dawn of the Dead. But
Yeah.
I didn't know. I just saw this, that Dawn of the Dead screenplay was by James Gunn.
No shit.
Yeah, Zack Snyder and James Gunn.
Well, I've never seen Dawn of the Dead. Then
I have. I think that's it's got Ving Rhames and
Yeah.
Ty Burrell and
Yeah, I don't know.
remember that one
It just
being-
never
being good,
The genre just never.
I think I've
really
only ever
did
seen it on
anything
TV.
for me.
So.
Oh, yeah. There's some good.
Maybe that's why Walking Dead blew me away so much, is because I never really enjoyed that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of Dawn of the Dead just because like they get stuck in a mall and then like they live in a mall for a long time. It was a really
That is not intriguing to me at all. Getting stuck in a mall for a long time.
I think
yeah, but it's well done though, and overall it is done well. There's lots of cool little things here and there, and like they address problems like, oh, how would you do this if you were stuck in a mall? And they get to that. Yeah.
Maybe it's not just zombie stuff. Maybe it's just the whole apocalyptic thing doesn't really do anything for me either.
See, that's what I like most about the zombie genre is like the idea of like I can't just go to the grocery store and like buy food anymore. I have to find creative ways to solve all these problems that are
And
everyday
you get to do
life.
lots of murder just to go
And
get to the grocery
I
store.
get to fucking kill zombies and other people who try and come take my shit.
I mean,
I remember you when you were alive. You're a dick.
Yeah, I just think of the scene from The Last of Us where in the series, the recent series where what's his bucket? Ron
Swanson?
Ron Swanson,
Oh, right.
Not his name, but
Yeah.
played by
Nick Offerman.
that's the one.
Yeah.
And he's like red
He's a-
letter day.
Yeah, he's like a kid in a candy shop. He's
yeah,
just
gets
like,
to go and,
living his
and-
best life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, the world sucks.
you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
He finished it.
we've all seen it. Yeah.
Right after I beat Spider-Man.
To that episode?
Was that before?
Are
I
you
don't
beating
remember.
Spider-Man to that episode?
Most
or?
of the time, yeah.
Yeah, but I just
All
think
the
of that,
episodes.
and it's just like that. Like I finally get to do this. No more bills, no more taxes, no more nothing.
No
I
more
just,
government.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
a big
go.
one.
I just get to go live, and then it's all about like
Well, he was a
fortifying.
doomsday prepper too, so
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
like, I've been preparing for this forever.
I think, as all of us who have been at the beck and call of the government at one point or another, or may still be, I would love for that to not happen anymore. For just there to be just a little bit of anarchy. I could embrace that.
Yeah,
It's a police officer telling you
Shut
to rise
up.
against.
I'm not telling you to rise up. I'm just saying if you do, don't fuck with me.
If it happens, I see you.
Stay
I
the
see you
fuck back. You stay away from my fucking property.
I'm
bitch.
not, look, I might not be a fan of the genre, but I'm not saying that we haven't made contingency plans. Like if shit goes down tomorrow, I know exactly where I'm
we're
going.
going.
I know the first person we're calling. So
And you know what? I don't think a mall would be that bad of a place to hole up. There's a lot of resources in there.
I don't know.
that
I
you
feel
could
like
get.
it'd be a bunch of fucking space for sale spots. Like
That's true nowadays, honestly.
Yeah,
In
that's-
2004, it was a lot different. You
Yeah.
have a whole food court filled out. But
Yeah, the
Here's
main-
an
main
abandoned
issue-
Sears and a couple of warm
oh,
cookies.
look, I got all the blazers I want at JCPenney's. Yay.
couple.
What am I
issues
gonna
is
do with
just-
all these goddamn perfume stands? Like this is fucking what nobody wants your shit
Are
jewelry.
they flammable? Let's find out.
I've got all the video games I need, but no power.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah,
Just rig up some car batteries.
that would be hilarious if the first thing to get raided in the apocalypse was the GameStop. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh fuck, we can't play any of these.
Yeah, internet's gone.
Has anybody got any
It,
bad?
But I got all
it
these
requires
Funko Pops.
internet.
I stole all the Funko Pops.
Yeah,
Everyone's dressed with all the shit they couldn't afford at Hot Topic.
All those weird rave pants.
yeah.
We're all in the Jinko or whatever the fuck it is with the huge boots.
Yeah, we'll watch it like Funko Pops become like the currency somehow.
Hey, where'd you get that Geek Battalion shirt?
Yeah. Oh, limited edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
All right, good
I think that
question.
was it. I
Yeah.
think he was just
That was
talking
good
more
stuff.
shit in there.
If you want to reach out to us, ask us a question, you can reach us at our Gmail. It's geekbattalionvets@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We've got it all basically. So you can either search Geek Battalion Vets, or you can find us at GeekBN Vets. That's at Geek Bravo November Vets as our handle on X and Instagram. Send us a DM. Share some of our stuff. Check out our posts. We got some cool stuff on there. If you're looking for another way to support the show other than asking us questions and listening, you can find some of our merch at geekbattalionvets.threadless.com. We've got a bunch of cool designs there, inspired after some of our favorite pop culture stuff. We've got Spider-Verse inspired designs, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, currently some Loki stuff that's up there if you're enjoying that show, or if you like this episode of ours about Thor and Loki.
And coming soon, fuck them frost giants.
Fuck them frost giants, sure. I've been toying with some Kurt Russell design that we've talked about, because we've learned that B is
beating Spider-Man,
Spider-Man to Kurt Russell. So
whoa, why are you gonna make it weird, man? Yeah. I just said I was beating Spider-Man.
You agreed to it.
You just said but
it's talking about the video game.
So yeah, check out that. It helps support the show, and allows us to keep doing what we're doing. So
yeah,
awesome. Safety brief?
Yeah, safety brief.
Is it the beginning?
Yeah,
of the show?
as we've discussed previously.
If only we had a catchy tune to get us out of this.
I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
catchy.
It'll
tune.
be on the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Promises. You heard that.
Meanwhile, we'll just be beating Spider-Man until then. But I don't know. Don't go to Tijuana.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody
I wasn't planning
plans
on it.
to?
But
No. Okay.
yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, you guys got that Lego thing coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Lego convention coming
Lego
up.
convention's
that'll
coming
be cool.
up. I'm gonna try and how do I word this? Finish Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for the PS5
To completion.
I'm gonna clock 100%.
There you go.
He means beat
on
Spider-Man.
the game.
What he
On
means.
the game. If I have any amount of time to do that. So yeah.
City Skylines 2 is coming out, or is officially out now, so I might try to see if I can't get a copy of that and play that for a bit.
Fun. I'm going to the wonderful land of Wisconsin.
Oh,
Be there for a
been
few
there,
days.
been there many a times.
Yeah, I've been there. Been there once before, I think.
Yeah. Go and try some spotted cow.
No. Nope, don't like it. Not a
You've
fan.
had it?
Yeah, I've had it.
Okay. I've never
Not a
never
fan.
had it.
Not a
Also
fan.
never been to Wisconsin.
You also don't drink beer, so yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not going to eat cheese while I'm there either. Just throwing that out there.
Why? Why even go to Wisconsin then?
Yeah,
Why?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Reasons.
All right. Well, anyway, hey, I've been Jimmy.
I'm still B.
And I'm Duncan.
Geek Battalion out.
Tupac Lit.
Bye.